The story is about a man who was Rizzless living in a big city like Tokyo, but as he moves back to a small town, God blesses him with some purpose. Well, it starts as the car drives while it is snowing heavily, and Tsubasa looks outside the window of the car, admiring how beautiful the snow looks. His dad texts him that he can't pick him up. It looks like someone is off to get some milk. He thinks that he came a bit too early, so he wonders what to do now because the weather seems sharp. Then Sue asks the driver to stop the car as he has to get off just here. The driver asks if he would be okay if he got off here, and he says that the place he has to go is near, so it is not a problem for him. The driver stops the car for him. As he gets off, he thinks about how spacious the place is. There are no cars and no noise. It just feels really peaceful. It is nothing like Tokyo, and as he is about to enjoy the fresh air by breathing it all in, his nose turns red and he panics. The air is freezing his lungs, and now he realizes how cold it is. Sue realizes that it is literally very cold in Hokkaido. Anyway, he makes his way to his home and keeps thinking that it was a mistake to move to Hokkaido at this time of the year. Because his ass is freezing, he was so not used it because of Tokyo. Sue takes his phone out, and his battery is running out as well, and he is about to panic because he feels stranded totally. That is when he sees a really pretty girl, and he wonders, looking at her, if she is a Hokkaido gyaru. The girl is wearing skirts as if she is not feeling cold at all, while this dude is freezing. Sue keeps staring at her. Someone probably stopped feeling cold anymore. He wonders how she is even standing bare-legged without feeling cold, and she is not even wearing anything heavy like a jacket. Literally, Sue is fully armored from his head to his toe, yet he feels really cold as if he could die. The girl realizes she is being stared at, so Sue asks her if she could guide him on the way to his destination and walks over to her. As she holds his phone, Sue looks at how beautiful she is. Her nose and ears are pink because of the cold, and she looks absolutely adorable when she puts the strand of her hair behind her ears while she looks at his phone. Then she points in a direction and says that it is that way. Sue thanks her and looks nervous as hell. As he walks, he thinks that it was a close call, and he was so charmed by her. Suddenly, she stops him and says to him that if he plans on walking, it is like 3 hours away, and it is snowing as well. Sue panics, falls to the ground, and wonders that he made a wrong decision by making the taxi driver go away, because he for real thought that it would be just a casual walk to the other town and not 3 long hours. And then men say that girls are bad at directions. He gasps that he just needs to take another taxi, to which the girl says that the taxis don't come here. Then he asks her if he calls one, would it come? She answers him that if he is lucky, then yes, it would just take 30 minutes. Sue frowns and thinks he is totally screwed, but the girl asks if he would like to wait with her for the bus to arrive. Because a bus is about to arrive soon, it will take them to the other town, and it is coming in just 5 minutes. Hearing that, Sue feels happy and says he would rather wait for the bus than a taxi, and he is willing to wait with her. Then Sue thanked her for her help, or he would have died of the cold. She says that it is not a big thing. Unfortunately, that is what she said. Then she asks him where he is from, and he is not from Hokkaido, right? Sue says that she is right, because he just moved here from Tokyo. Hearing Tokyo, the girl screams and asks him why he would even move from Tokyo to these sticks. He answers her and says that because of his family, he had to move here. The girl turns to him and says that, compared to Tokyo, these towns are nothing but lame. After hearing her speak, he wonders how weird her accent is. The girl turns back, facing the road, saying that he probably thinks that they are all super lame over here. Sue says that he does not think like that. In fact, he thinks quite the opposite of it. He finds it relaxing, calm, and soothing. Sue wonders that he used to get bullied for being lame, and he is not used to being popular. Even if one is from Tokyo, lame is just lame. Further, he wonders that no one here knows that he is lame. So that is a big relief for him, and he sighs. The girl says to him that he seems like an alright guy, and then asks how old he is. Sue tells her that he is 16, and the girl jumps on him, saying that he is the same age as her. Then she asks Sue what school he goes to. He gets nervous and tells her he goes to Hokkaido High School, and the girl tells him that it is the same school as her. She holds his arm and says that this is amazing. Well, Sue is so shy that how is she even holding his arm so fast? This is definitely way too fast for him. Tell me you are a virgin without telling me you are a virgin. Sue gathers up his guts and says why is she holding him, to which she says it is cold, so should she let him go? He says no several times because he is so cold, and he says then that he made contact with something really squishy. The girl says to him that he always sounds so nervous and they should get more casual. How casual are we talking about though, so I can advise my geeks to carry some tissues? Sue says okay, and then wonders that it is so cold and she is wearing no gloves. Suddenly, she sneezes and her nose gets watery, so Sue lends her a piece of tissue. Sue wonders that this is such a new thing because in Tokyo he never talked to a girl like that. He wonders if all Hokkaido girls are like that, and he is lost in his thoughts. The girl keeps calling him out, and he can't listen because of his thoughts, so she takes some snow and puts it in his muffler. Sue jumps out of bed, and the girl laughs at him, saying that this is what he gets for ignoring her. He takes out the snow from his muffler and then looks at the girl, who looks so angelic while laughing. Sue could not control herself and said how pretty she was, and the girl got all red because she felt shy and hit his arm. That is when the bus arrives, and she says she has to go now and she will see him at school. Before she goes, Sue asks her name, and she tells him it is Fuyuki Minami. She then gets on the bus, and the bus leaves. Meanwhile, Sue is happy that he moved to Hokkaido because he finally has some Rizz, and then he checks his phone. It was a text from his dad, and he asked if he was there yet, and that is when Sue realized that he had forgotten to get on the bus. On the other hand, Fuyu is sitting in the bus and wonders if it would be so cool if this guy was also in her class. The next day, he gets introduced in the class by the teacher as a transfer student, and he says his name. He says that he moved from Tokyo yesterday, and he is happy to meet every one of them, and the class claps for him. The teacher tells him to go sit on his seat at the back, and he sits down. The teacher calls for attendance, and Sue looks in the class, looking for Fuyu. He realizes that she might be in some other class, and why is he even thinking of her because he likes black-haired girls who are also subtle. But it could be because he has never met a girl like her before in his life. She was the only reason he thought Hokkaido girls were really awesome. As he is thinking that, Fuyu enters the class, and she is shivering from the cold. He looks back, and she looks at him, holds him, and gets excited that he is the same guy from yesterday. The entire class looks back, and the teacher scolds Fuyu, saying that she is late again. She asks the teacher to make her sit next to Mr. Perfect, and Sue thinks that he had no idea that this cliché stuff happens in real life too. Then the bell rings, and she sits next to Sue. She tells him that he has a really pretty name, and he gets shy. Fuyu tells him that it is nice to meet him and says his first name, Tsubasa, and that makes him so nervous that she used his first name, and she is crossing boundaries. I would let a hot blonde cross my heart, not just boundaries. Sue covers his mouth and yells in his mind that no one except his family and friends calls him by his first name. He turns to him nervously and says that it is nice to meet her too, and she smiles at him. The teacher in the class is teaching geometry, and Sue starts feeling really cold. He wonders why this room feels like he is sitting in a freezer, and he looks around in the class and sees that everyone is wearing either jackets or blankets. Sue was the only one who did not wear something thick, and he knows he is about to catch a cold. Seeing him shiver, Fuyu gives him a blanket, and he asks if she is sure, and she says she is because she gets cold easily, so she carries two at once. Sue thanks her for letting him borrow it and then puts it on himself. He feels warm because it is already warm, as Fuyu was already wrapped in it before. Because of it, it smells nice too. He feels warm, as if Fuyu is herself against his body, and then he imagines Fuyu sitting between his legs. Sue yells in his thoughts that because of this blanket, his hormones are going to make him go crazy. After the period ends, Sue gives Fuyu her blanket and thanks her for it. Fuyu takes the blanket and starts smelling it, which throws off Sue, and Fuyu says of course she is going to sniff it. Sue says if it smells bad, he could wash it for her, and Fuyu says it does not smell bad. Further, she says that it smells like him and her smooshed together with a teasing smile on her face. Sue gets shy and wonders if she said that on purpose. The dude was so Rizz-less that he can't believe his luck. Then, Fuyu says that there is a way he can pay her for that, saying that Fuyu makes him walk back home with her, and she says that he is a lifesaver because she did not have anyone to walk her back home today. She has her arm wrapped around his arm, and Sue gets nervous, to which she says they are tight as friends. Sue says that they literally just met yesterday. Then he asks her where she lives, and she says that she has a locomotive home, so he can just take her there. He asks if she means the train, and Fuyu says yes, and he can take her to the station. As they are walking, Fuyu asks Sue if he is dating anyone. He gets nervous but says of course he is not. Fuyu laughs and says, of course he is going to deny it. Then she asks where he goes on dates. Sue tells her Harajuku, or maybe Shin Okubo, even though he has never been on a date before. Hearing him, Fuyu asks him, does he not go to Shibuya or to Marukyu? He says that a lot of people go to shop there, but people say that it is better to walk around on dates with snacks. Sue wonders why he has never been on a date and has just read it all online. Fuyu says that it is so cool because Tokyo has so many cool places to go. Then Sue asks her where she hangs out in Kitami, which she says is just at home because winter is too cold to go outside. They all visit each other at home, and Sue gets nervous thinking that he will be visiting her at home, but he brushes off his thoughts, thinking that he should not care about it. Fuyu says then that her destination has arrived and he can just drop her there, and she tells Sue thanks, and he says that it is no problem. As he is leaving, she stops him and asks him if he does not want to come over tomorrow, and he gets nervous hearing that because it sounds so weird. Fuyu explains that there is no school tomorrow, so he can totally come over, and she wants to know more about Tokyo and stuff. Meanwhile, Sue is shy that he is going to a girl's room already. And what is this even turning into? He gets lost in his thoughts. Hearing no answer, Fuyu asks sadly if he does not want to come over, and he says of course he will come over with Spirit because he can't make her sad, of course. Fuyu gets happy and says that they should exchange their contacts now, and then the train arrives, and they bid farewell. The next day, Sue goes over to her place, looks at her house, and wonders that he has never been to a girl's home before in his life. And now here he is. Keeping in mind that this is just his third day in Hokkaido, he rings her bell and wonders that if his family finds out about it, he will be so screwed, but still, the temptation is too strong. Hokkaido girls are a force to be reckoned with. Then the speaker says who it is, and Sue says that it is him, and Fuyu tells him to come inside since the door is open, so he should not have a problem. He wonders why their security is so weak, but he opens the door and walks inside her home. Fuyu is standing there, and she welcomes him inside her home. Sue sits down to take his shoes off and wonders why she is dressed so devilishly. Does he not understand that this is good for him? She is wearing a black tracksuit, and it fits as hell. Fuyu says to him that he is so lucky because her parents are not home as well, and he gets so shy, and he wonders what the heck that even meant. Then she tells him to come inside the living room, and as Sue steps on the carpet, he feels really warm. Fuyu tells him that the living room has floor heating and a big heater. She tells him that her room has a small heater, so she always stays cold there. Now Sue understands why she said that he is lucky that her parents are not at home right now. He takes his jacket off and sits down on the carpet. He feels relieved and thinks that nothing weird would happen in the living room, of course. But of course, something has to happen, and Fuyu touches her foot with his leg, and he gets nervous, at which she laughs. Then she leans on the table and says to Sue what they are going to do, and he wonders what she means, but she says that she is going to get him a drink. Fuyu gets up, goes to the fridge, and wonders what she should give him to drink. She asks him if he would like to drink katsugen, and Sue says whatever is easy for her. Fuyu gives her a glass full of it, and she says that she has loved it since she was a baby. As Sue drinks it, he loves it because it tastes like one of those thick yogurt drinks. Suddenly, Fuyu yells, and Sue asks her what is up, and she says that she thought that there was a little left, so she poured all of it in and spilled it on her big honkers. Seeing that, Sue gets so shy. Then Fuyu says that it feels sticky, so she is going to go and change. On the other hand, Sue was shaking because that was a close call, and he told himself to calm down. Well, Fuyu walks out, and she changes into a shorter dress, and she is tying her hair out. Well, that was some luck for Sue. But Sue is so shy, and he is literally blushing, so he turns his back. Fuyu asks him what is up, and he says that what is she even wearing? Fuyu says that her dress is warm from the inside, and that is what she usually wears. Sue nervously pulls out a movie from his bag and says he brought it so they could watch it. Fuyu takes it from him and goes towards the movie player to put it inside the CD. As she bends down, her peach shines, and Sue covers his eyes. Fuyu looks back at him and asks if he is okay, and he says yes, he is, while he looks as red as a tomato. Later, the movie plays, and there is a banging scene playing, which makes Sue awkward. Suddenly, Sue hears a moan from Fuyu, and then her foot touches her, and he is so shy to even look at her. Well, as he turned to her, she was sleeping on the sofa, and not even watching the movie. Sue wonders if she is being so careless about it that she is sleeping in that dress while a guy is over. That is when it hits her. Fuyu does not see him as a guy, and more like just a friend. After a while, Fuyu gets up, and Sue has put his jacket on her. She asks what the movie is about. Sue says that it is already over, she can keep it and return it later on, and he is ready to leave. Fuyu sees his jacket on her, and Sue tells her that he put it on her so she does not catch a cold. Then she gives him his jacket back, and he wears it, saying that anyway, it is getting dark and he needs to get back home because it gets totally dark. As he is walking back home, Sue gets stopped by Fuyu, and she runs to him. She says she is sorry that she did not want to fall asleep, and she won't ever be like that. But Sue wraps his muffler around her, saying that she should not walk like that outside or she would catch a cold, standing really close to her. He asks her if she wants the jacket too and begins taking it off, but Fuyu says that she always dresses like this when she has to run out for a second. But Fuyu finds his muffler so soft and warm, and she feels so cozy because of it. Sue says he is glad, but instead he catches a cold and sneezes. Then Fuyu holds Sue's hands and says that she is really hungry, so they should walk to a mart nearby, and it seems like they are about to have a small date. It is her treat as an apology to him for falling asleep like that while they were watching a movie, and she runs with his hand in her hand. After that, they both come to the market and eat something warm. Sue says that this food is really good, and he was not expecting it to be that good. And she says that this is her all-time favorite too. Then Fuyu tells him that they even make the rice balls by themselves, and Sue is so impressed by it. Then she passes him the salmon so he can eat it. As Sue was eating the rice got on his cheek, and Fuyu got near him and said that there was rice on his cheek, like a baby and lass. So she takes the rice and eats it right away. Well, that makes Sue very nervous and he blushes, and it is clear that no woman has ever talked to him before in his life. Something streamers can relate to. Fuyu was playing in the snow. She built a snowman, and it was cute. She was excited because it looked adorable and wanted to upload a story of it on social media. She took a pic of herself while holding the snowman in her hand. She came back inside the school corridor while looking at her phone. She was glad because she was looking good in the picture. After that, she saw MC standing in front of the announcement board staring at the snowman poster. MC was lost in his thoughts and couldn't feel the presence of Fuyu. Men daydream about getting laid all the time, and it shows so clearly. She went near him quietly and whispered in his ear. MC panicked when he suddenly heard her voice. Fuyu asked him what he was looking at in an erotic way. He got afraid and told her not to sneak up on him like that. When Fuyu saw the poster, it was about the Winter Festival. She felt nostalgic because it brought back the memories of last year. She asked MC if he was interested in the Winter Festival. MC got nervous. He told Fuyu that it was during the weekend, so he thought that it might be worth looking at. Fuyu started wondering about her weekend plan. After a minute, she told MC that she was ready to go with him to the Winter Festival if he was gonna insist. MC got confused and asked her if he really said something like that to her. Fuyu went away and MC started wondering about what happened. He thought that he was going on a date with Fuyu. His face turned red and he panicked. Later that day, Fuyu was at her home eating with her sister. Her sister was enjoying the lunch because it was tasty. She told her mother that she loved the mochi. Her mother gave them sweet potato mochi and told them that the other one had cheese on it. Her mother gave Fuyu katsugen to pour it on the mochi. Fuyu's sister told them that their father was late. Her mother told them that it was the weekend night and their father must be busy. She told them that tomorrow was the weekend and suggested that they should go somewhere. She wanted to plan a family trip so that they could spend time with each other. Fuyu's sister wanted to go skating. Her mother asked Fuyu if she was coming along then. Fuyu blushed and covered her mouth. She told them that she had to pass because she was going to a family festival along with a friend the next day. Momo asked Fuyu if she wasn't going to join them on the weekend. Fuyu apologized to her and told her that she couldn't go along with them. When Fuyu's mother heard that she was going to a winter festival, she remembered that Fuyu always used to go there when she was in elementary school. Fuyu started wondering about it and was stunned. Momo told her mother that Fuyu was also going to the winter festival. While they were talking, their father came home and Momo, her mother, went to receive him at the door. Fuyu was lost in her thoughts and was sitting at the table. Fuyu opened her phone and saw old pictures when she went to the winter festival with MC. On the next day, MC was walking on the snowy road. He knew that it was just another cold day. He opened his phone and saw messages from Fuyu. She told him that she was looking forward to going with him and also told MC to meet her at the Kitami restaurant at 11:00 a.m. He couldn't believe that both of them were going together to the winter festival. His face turned red because he was feeling shy and nervous. MC knew that going to the winter festival with Fuyu was a date, and it was going to be his first date. Fuyu last night sent MC a kissing emoji, and later she sent him her picture with the snowman which she had taken yesterday. MC was sweating because he got nervous. Even in the cold, snowy weather, it was hard for him to breathe because of his fast heartbeat. He tried to control his feelings and told himself that he couldn't get so hyped up before he even met her, or he might not be able to get back home alive. MC tried to divert his mind and focus on just enjoying his first Hokkaido festival. He later thought that he was misunderstanding it as a date, and Fuyu-chan just might have agreed to accompany him because he didn't have any friends. MC relaxed himself and felt better. He reached the station and started waiting for Fuyu. When Fuyu met her, MC was shocked because Fuyu was all dressed up and looked hot. After all, a man does think from what he sees and how the business is down there. All his efforts to calm himself down and suppress his feelings were wasted. He panicked and covered his face. He thought that it was a powerful attack because it almost took all of his chances to survive until nightfall. He asked Fuyu if they were her normal street clothes, because her melons were bouncing and her pants were too tight that made her cleavage look visible. He knew that she was usually used to wearing casual clothes, but the lack of skin on her dress made her even sexier. Fuyuki knew that it was the first time she had gone out with MC. She smiled and asked him if she was looking hot. MC hesitated, he couldn't speak clearly, and told her that she looked nice. Fuyu was frustrated and told him that it looked like she made him say such a thing. MC coughed and behaved normally. He asked Fuyu if she hadn't gone to the winter festival since after elementary school. Fuyu smiled and told him that he was right because it had been a super long time since she went to a winter festival. MC was excited and told that there were snow statues and ice sculptures inside. Won't talk about the sculpture MC got down there after seeing her. He smiled at her and then told her that there was still a bit of stuff she could see in Hokkaido which she couldn't see in Tokyo. MC researched everything thoroughly and told her that he already searched for the local food specialty at the food stands. He was happy and told her that it was going to be fun. Fuyu got dull and told him that he shouldn't get his hopes high enough. MC couldn't hear her and asked if she said anything. Fuyuki said that she hadn't said anything and both of them went inside. MC was amazed when he looked at the place. It had exact snow statues as he thought and food stalls too. The place was crowded and he was amazed by the ice sculptures. There were snow slides and a play area for the children too. MC told Fuyu to explore the area. He was smiling when he looked at the statues. Fuyu was wondering if the status might have gotten smaller. She would have to see him in bed for that. Missy told her that she might have gotten bigger instead. He wanted to take a picture of the statue. Fuyu told her that she had a good idea instead. She took her phone out and smiled to take a selfie with him and the statue. At first, MC panicked, but his heart melted when he saw her smiling. Average weed daydreams. She smelled so good that he started blushing. When Fuyu saw the picture, she told him that his eyes were closed. She said that it was hilarious. She laughed and saw it again because they were half open. MC told her it was embarrassing and asked her to delete it. Fuyu smelled something and ignored MC. He asked her if he was even listening. Fuyu asked him if he was hungry. MC went to the corn dog stall and bought one corn dog, not the corn he wanted to feed her. The stall owner asked him what he wanted to put on it. He was shy and told him that he wanted to get sugar with it. Fuyu was eating the barbecue and enjoyed it because it was really good. She started wondering what she should eat next time. MC came to her and apologized to her for waiting. Fuyu saw a corn dog in his hands and smiled. She asked him if she could have a bite of it. She opened her mouth and wanted him to put the dog corn in it. MC hesitated and gave him a bite of it. She tasted it and it was so yummy. MC started wondering why he felt so dirty and was embarrassed because he had to eat it from where she took a bite. It could be an indirect kiss between them. His hands were shaking and he hesitated to eat it. He told himself not to think about it and tried to feel normal because he was in high school and grown up. MC ate the corn dog and Fuyu started smiling. He panicked and asked her what she was trying to do. Fuyu told him that she wished everyone were as easy to read as him. He told her that she was totally trying to make fun of him. Fuyu cheered up and told him to keep going. Both of them had snowball fights, built snowmen, saw a concert, and took the slide together. They spent quality time with each other and were happy. Later, after hours, both of them sat together on the chairs. MC brought her hot amazake to drink. They relaxed and Fuyu asked him if he was enjoying the festival. MC was happy and told her that the snow was just wow for him. Fuyu smiled and told him that he just lacked words. MC told her that he lived in Tokyo. That's why it's a totally different experience for him. He told her that the landscape was the same as Japan, but it's still a lot different from where he used to live. MC smiled and thanked her for coming. He told her that he had so much fun just because of her. Fuyuki smiled and was glad that MC was enjoying it with him. She got embarrassed and finished her drink in an instant. She couldn't see directly into his eyes and told him that she was a lot nervous about the day. MC was curious and asked her why she thought that way. Fuyu told him that the last time she came to the winter festival was when she was in elementary school. She told him that she had fun at that time because it was all new for him, but she wasn't sure that she would enjoy it after such a long time. She was worried that he would be irritated and started wondering what is that. That's why she was nervous and hesitant about the day. She told him that he was totally wrong, and he made her like Hokkaido even more. Fuyu further says that she had fun back then, but she did not realize it would still be fun now. She did not think that he would be so amused by it and would say, "What even is this?" But that is not how things went down, luckily. Then, Fuyu stands up and says that now she does not have to worry about it, and she walks while saying that she feels Hokkaido even better when MC is with her. She turns to him and says that she feels way happier when she is with him, and whenever she sees him having fun, Fuyu gets really happy too. Not only that, she is glad that he came to the festival with her, and that makes him blush so hard that he turns red as a tomato. Fuyu says then that she never thought she would actually love her hometown before he came to Hokkaido. Suddenly, she slips on the ice, and MC yells at her to watch out for herself. But before she falls to the ground, MC holds Fuyu from falling down and saves her, and just her hat falls. And oh well, they have a typical K-drama moment between them, which most Americans don't have because they can't wait for their pants to slide down. They both started breathing heavily while looking at each other, and they both got nervous, so they left each other. MC gets up while Fuyu turns her back on him, and MC says he is sorry. On the other hand, Fuyu grabs her cap and hides her face because she is blushing, and she tells him that she is fine. Later on, they walk home, and MC says to her that if she is okay with it, they can go out again later. They both are blushing, and then Fuyu smiles while she says, "Where is this coming from? Is he that desperate to go with her?" And they cross the road. MC says that it does not have to be just the two of them, and Fuyu says that she wants to go to the Sapporo Snow Festival someday, and after that, both of them walk home. The next day, Fuyu comes to his desk during the lunch break, slams her lunchbox on his desk, and says that they should have lunch together. She sits with him and then takes out her lunch and says to him that she brought something that she wants him to try out. MC looks at it and sees that they are cup noodles. Fuyu says that whenever she eats cup noodles in school, they always taste so much better than usual. While Fuyu opens up the cup noodles, she asks MC if he might not have seen many cup noodles in Tokyo. But MC seems so surprised that she went to get these just for him. She says that she saw his reaction the other day, and it made her want him to try more Hokkaido cuisine. There was no way she called instant noodles a cuisine. MC wonders why he feels so embarrassed that he can't even describe how he feels, but he still manages to keep blushing too. Then Fuyu pours hot water into the noodles, and MC says that she brought hot water along with her as well, and Fuyu says yes, she did. After that, she covers the noodles again and says that now they just have to wait for 3 minutes, and then the noodles will be ready. Fuyu looked at her cell phone, and in a while 3 minutes passed by too. MC wonders why it was literally so quick. "I could not be more quick than y'all in bed, which makes y'all girlfriends go gay." Fuyu says to him that now the trick is to take the Chinese soup broth that comes with it so they can make soup for the noodles and add water to the broth. MC thinks that it is such a wonderful idea, and then Fuyu says that it is all done too, and no doubt, the food looks more delicious than your granny's hash brownies. The food is in front of him, and MC thinks that it sure looks like a bunch of junk food, but he cannot resist the temptation of eating it all because it looks so appetizing. Fuyu then grabs chopsticks, takes some noodles out of them, tells MC to open his mouth, and begins feeding him. Then she asks him how they taste, and he says that they taste wonderful and so good, to which Fuyu says that she said it right, and that they do taste heavenly. MC begins describing it, and he says that the noodles taste very firm and good. Even the cabbage is so smoothly covered in all the sauces, and it is really good. She says while she smiles that she has him back for the winter festival now. MC blushes and asks if she is talking about that day. Fuyu giggles looking at him and tells him that he is red and blushing. Further, she teases him and asks if he got turned on by that, and MC gives his justification that it was just the flavor of the food and its warmth that made him blush. Fuyu says that he should show her what is in his bento and insists on it, and MC says that it is just a normal bento and nothing else. Well, the moment he opens up his bento, it is filled with the most appetizing food ever, and Fuyu gasps that this in no way is just normal. Fuyu exclaims and says she can take a picture of it, and MC says of course she can. MC wonders if bento is that unusual here, and then he asks her while she takes pictures of it if she wants to try it, and it seems like she is waiting for him to ask. She says of course she wants to try it if he is okay with it. Fuyu takes her chopsticks and picks up the beef, saying she wants to give the meat a try first. She takes it in her mouth and finds it super yummy. The moment she eats it, Fuyu finds it super juicy and yummy, so she asks him what meat is because it literally tastes so heavenly. Not his meat though, that is the sad part. MC says that it is stewed pork that his grandma makes, which is why it is so tender. Hearing that, Fuyu giggles and says that it is weird, but now she wants to marry his grandma. MC says what she even means by that, and Fuyu says that it was so good. MC says thanks to her for the cup noodles too, because they were amazing too, and he enjoyed having them a lot. Further, MC says that he has never had cup noodles before in his life, and they were totally amazing. Everything she does is totally amazing to him, MC says, and Fuyu gets shocked after she hears him say that. Fuyu asks him if he has never had cup noodles before in his life. MC says yes, and Fuyu asks him, so basically everything is a new experience for him. MC says while blushing that it is like going to a girl's home, shopping with her, or hanging out with her. Also, he had never been to a festival before with a friend. And Fuyu listened to him while she had her mouth covered by her hand because she couldn't believe it. Well, Fuyu asks him, all with the bento and not attending festivals, does he mean that he is a spoiled rich kid? Fuyu exclaims that, by his aura, she could tell that he was a rich kid from Tokyo. MC says to him that she has some wrong ideas about Tokyo, and he does not think that his family is very rich at all, every rich kid ever. Fuyu gets up and says that there is no way that he is not a rich kid, and how else would he explain it? Fuyu comes near his desk, and he could explain to her if she comes over to his house, and then she will see if she was right about speculation or not. Unk agrees, and then after school they begin walking to his place, and MC wonders if she got her way after all. Well, Ma can't stop thinking about her angle, which showed her biggest honkers while she said she would come over. There's nothing else to expect from a man, whether he's 16 or 40. He wonders what he is going to do because his grandma is home too. Fuyu then tells him to come over to a place, and it was a snow fort some kids made, and she was so bent down that her peaches were visible while she crawled in it. MC gets shy and turns back, but Fuyu crawls back out, holds his hand, and says to come inside with her in such a seductive way. They both are inside, and MC is on top of Fuyu. Fuyu asks him if it is his first time, and he says yes. MC says that it is so tight while they are so close to each other. Fuyu tells him to hold her closer and tighter, and MC is so nervous that he says that he needs to get out of it now. He tells her to stop moaning like that because it sounds so weird and crawls out of it. And the moment he crawls out of it, a surprise awaits him outside. It was his grandma, and she asked what he was even doing inside, and what she heard was so inappropriate, disgusting stuff. MC panics and wonders. The one time he did not want to be heard was now, and his grandma heard all of it, and now she has to make an excuse. Well, the moment he is about to make an excuse, Fuyu crawls out, holds his arm, and says to MC that he was way too quick with it, and he really should have enjoyed his first time more. Then Fuyu sees his grandmother and asks him who this lady is, and then she realizes that she is Tsu's grandmother. Well, that was a big horror for him, but Fuyu is so happy to see her, and she exclaims with happiness that she never thought she would meet her there and was on her way to meet her. She says further that she tried the bento her grandmother made for him, and it tasted so good. Hearing that, Granny's reaction changed, and she was delighted to hear that she tasted her cooking, which made MC so shocked to get that reaction. Then Fuyu exclaims out of happiness and says that she loved her cooking, and it was literally so good. Fuyu wishes that she could get such homemade food daily, and she feels jealous of MC now. MC awkwardly laughs too, because he does not want to get in trouble. His grandmother smiles, and she says that she is happy that Fuyu complimented her cooking, and further, she asks what her relationship is with MC. Both of them start to blush, but MC nervously screams that both of them are just classmates and turns to Fuyu, saying that he is telling it right. Fuyu seems shocked by his answer, and she says that it is how it is, and then it begins to snow. His grandmother sees that it has started to snow, so now Fuyu needs to excuse them. She tells MC that she has an appointment after that too, and now they need to leave. MC says with no hope that he has to leave with his grandma with tears in his eyes. The dude did not even put up a fight. Fuyu tells him to wait for her, and he says he cannot, and he wonders why he knew it would never work out because of his grandmother. His grandmother does not like it when people are too open in their relationships. He keeps walking, and Fuyu says that she meant to wait as his grandma was using an umbrella. So if she slips and falls on the snow while her hands are not free, she could fall down and get badly hurt. Fuyu says to her further that her grandma broke a bone like that once a long time ago, and she wants her to be really careful. So Fuyu tells her grandma that she can get rid of the snow by just brushing it off of her, and hence she would not even fall. Hearing that, Granny keeps her umbrella away, and Fuyu turns to MC and asks him where his home is, and he points out in a direction that it is that way. Fuyu says that it is all covered up with black ice today, so they both should not take that route because they could trip very easily on that ice. Further, Fuyu says that she knows another way that is way safer and quicker for them to reach their home. She can show them that and then tell the grandmother that she will carry her stuff while she walks. Fuyu says to her that she makes such good and delicious food, so she should take care of her hands more and smile then. MC stops her and says to let him carry the bag, and she pouts at him and gives him the bag. He asks if she is mad about something, and Fuyu taunts him that she is not mad about anything, and why would she even get mad at just a classmate? MC exclaims and says that it is just hard for him to say it in front of his grandmother and whispers in her ears that she is a very important friend to him, and Fuyu blushes really hard. Hearing that, Fuyu loudly says, "What did he say?" He was an important friend to him, and MC says to please keep it down. "I have to tell your mom every night so you can sleep peacefully." After a while, they reach their house, and Fuyu is shocked to see his house because it is literally so big, and then this guy had the audacity to say he ain't that rich. MC looks at her and asks her what is wrong, and she says nothing is wrong, but Fuyu says that she should head home as they both have an appointment, so she will just go home instead. His grandmother says that because of her help, they have arrived before the deadline and have some spare time left, so she asks her for a cup of hot tea and she says yes, she would love to have it. His grandmother wonders why MC chose her, so she must be a really good girl, and she should trust his choice. Meanwhile, Fuyu is taking millions of pictures of his home and says that every picture is post-worthy because his home is so beautiful. Well, his grandmother sees that she feels weird and thinks that she should keep an eye on her while both of them are laughing and giggling. His grandmother has a flashback to the past when little NC ran to her, and he ran to her, saying that he wanted to study very hard so he could always take care of her. Coming back to the present, Granny thinks that she has not seen him smile like that in such a long time, so she should trust her. So she walks in the room and serves them tea, and both of them feel happy getting the tea and thank her. The class teacher hands everyone the guidebook for next week's skiing lesson. There are seating arrangements written inside these guidebooks. MC opens his guidebook and checks it out. To his pleasant surprise, he's sitting behind Fuyuki and next to someone named Akino, who is actually busy playing Candy Crush like your mom. Haha. Today is the day the whole class is going skiing, and it is going to be really exciting and fun for everyone. Well, for everyone except MC at least. He does not know how to ski and has not even done that ever even once. He is not looking that much forward to it, but sure as hell are some other folks. This skiing day came out of nowhere, and it is most probably organized seeing the amount of snow falling in Hokkaido. This much snow at this time of the year is not usual, so this is a little early trip if you would like to call it that. All the students are looking forward to enjoying this day with each other skiing and having other things in the basket for fun. Minami is at the top of those students, and she is very excited that they are going skiing today. They have been looking for an excuse to have a trip like this, and Minami was way ahead of everyone on this. She is the fun type who gets along with literally everyone and wants to enjoy her time with every person she interacts with. She is in front of MC, and she gets up and tells him sitting on her knees in her seat that she is very happy that today they are going skiing. Are her pepperoni is hard because of the cold, or she's just happy to see the MC? She starts praising herself and tells him that she is the best at skiing, but not getting the enthusiasm she would have expected from MC tells her that maybe he is not so happy about it. She figures out that it is because he does not know how to ski or even walk on the skiing boards. MC tells her that she is right, but he is not worried about it as he can learn from her. She tells him again that she is the best in the skiing business as she has been skiing since she was a child, so she got a pretty good hand on it. MC takes a breather that he will be in good hands with her, but she tells him that it is not unusual for a person from Hokkaido to be decent at skiing. Every student on the bus is probably very good at it, so it is not much of a surprise. This fascinates MC, but he did not expect anything less from Hokkaido. He knows people from this city are pretty suited to be doing these types of things as they are accustomed to the snow here. From where he comes, Tokyo, it snows not so often, and even when it does not stick to the ground. This is a piece of new information for Minami, and she is surprised to hear that. We see all of the students totally geared with the things they need for the skiing, and it is very apparent that these people know what they are doing. Anyways, MC and Minami are talking when she suddenly falls silent. This makes MC confused and he looks at her, seeing that she is looking at Akino, sitting next to him with worried eyes. It looks as if she is worried about Akino or wants to patch up after they fight. Whether they fought or not, we have no clue, but these are the ideas MC is getting from her eyes. He's onto something, let him cook. He asks her if she is okay or not. Minami was zoned out looking at Akino and was bewildered when MC asked this. She tells him that she is fine, but there is one thing. She goes closer to his ear and whispers that she has been trying to talk to Akino because she wants to be friends with her, but there is never a good time. Everyone she tried talking to her, it always fell flat, and the conversation always died because it even began. MC hears this and asks Minami if she fought with her or not. Minami is kind of offended hearing this. She tells him that she would never fight Akino as she likes her a lot and wants to be her friend. Trying to be her friend, but it is not working, is not Minami-like. She is the kind of person everyone gets along with, and they all find her very funny and enjoyable. She is the one that has an uncountable number of friends, and all of them find her very fun, and to think that is the person who is finding it hard to be friends with someone is pretty shocking. We see Minami looking at Akino and asking her desperately to start a conversation if she is thrilled to be going skiing today. To her horror, Akino does not reply, and it makes the situation even more awkward. Minami ends the conversation right here that she knows Akino is as it goes without saying. NC finds this very sad and wants to help her by doing something that will make these friends. Akino really does not want to be friends with anyone, that much is clear, but Minami not being her friend is something MC cannot stand. Minami and MC start talking about Akino. MC asks her what she finds so appealing about her that makes her so wild about her. This question seems like a dumb one to Minami, as she tells him that he has to look very closely. Akino is the real beauty in this world, and the way she sits, looks, and even moves is like a total goddess among them. Minami feels like she is a true goddess among people, and the way she even exists is very cute. I heard people praise the beauties of others, but this was really something else, I have to say. MC tries looking at Akino, and notices the things Minami finds so attractive about her, and it is true. MC is surprised seeing that these are the things that are so apparent in her, yet he never noticed. He is looking at every part of Akino, and everything is so clear to him. He does find her a real beauty and keeps staring at her. Minami sees this and tells him that he is staring way too hard and way too suspiciously at Akino, which startles MC. He tries telling her that he was just trying to see the things she told him in her, and she is right. Minami is not happy with the way MC is staring, but she shrugs it right off, telling him that she should get back to her seat as they are about to reach their destination. She sits on her seat, but MC feels like he should have explained it a little better to Minami, but the moment is gone for sure. They are at their destination and the fun part begins. They get their needed gear for the skiing, and all of the students get in line to start their skiing experience. MC is pretty nervous, but not so scared as he is confident in himself. We see all of the students in the 3 queues by the chairlift, and the teacher announces the rules and the things they have to keep in mind while being here. He tells them that all of them are going to be divided into the 3 groups A, B, and C. A is the group with the best people, meaning they know how to ski pretty well. B is the mediocre ones, and C is the beginners. He tells them that they have to stay together with their apparent ground and follow the rules all the time. They have to behave and not do anything stupid while they are on these heights, as it can result in death. Yeah, well, we don't want anyone plummeting to their deaths and the things that come after that falling on us, so all of the students go their way and the groups are constructed. All of the groups leave according to their plan, but MC is not so sure where he belongs. because he doesn't even know how to walk on a straight path with these ski boards, so he doesn't even belong in the C group. He is alone and the teacher comes to him asking what he is doing here. He tells the teacher that he is trying to figure out how to take this ahead, but he is not sure where he should start from. The teacher tells him that Group C has decided to go up the hill using the chairlift and they are going to come down skiing. If he wants to do that, he should surely go with Group C, but MC tells him that he is not even a beginner. He has not skied his entire life, and this is actually his first time even trying it. So he feels like he should first practice walking on a straight path alone. Then maybe he can join the C group and proceed from there. That figures for the teacher, and he gives MC the go-ahead. The teacher tells him that if he is going to be trying it for the first time, he should do it with her. Saying this, the teacher points at Akino as we see her trying to even stand straight on these ski boards. She is the perfect partner for MC right now. Teacher is going to be with Group C, so he is not going to be able to keep an eye on these two, so they should just stick together and help each other out. MC is happy with this and the teacher leaves, warning him that he should not take any risks while he is alone with her. The teacher leaves and MC thinks about how he is going to take this Akino thing. I think you should go ahead and execute the perfect RKO on her from behind. Could not get a better opportunity. Am I becoming too sadistic? This is the perfect opportunity given to him by the gods to talk to Akino. But he is not selfish. He wants to be friends with Akino and plans on making her friends with Minami as well. All he has to do is think about how he is going to talk to Akino. We see Akino alone, and so does MC. Seeing this as his chance, he goes to her and tells her that they both do not know how to ski, and that makes them a perfect group. He wants to know how they are going to take it from here, but as usual, Akino does not respond. She just sets her hair behind her ear and puts on her earbuds, totally shutting out MC. He is a little surprised, but not so much as this is Akino he is talking to. Akino does not want anything to do with MC and goes ahead, alone not knowing how to ski. She tries walking, but it is pretty hard, so she just puts her one leg at a time and moves like this. MC follows her lead and does the same. Walking like this is sure as hell tiring, but this is the only way. MC realizes that if he puts his weight on one leg and then the other, it is pretty good. He goes forward like this for a while when he hears Akino falling on the ground. She finds it pretty frustrating and thinks this is totally unnecessary. This ski thing feels like a waste of time to her, and learning this is useless for her. She gets up after trying very hard, and the look of anger she has right now is a horror movie for us. MC sees this and runs to her. He tells her that he was a little focused on himself, so he did not look when she fell down. MC apologizes for not helping, but Akino does not need that. That much is clear. She does not need help from anyone, but as this awkward moment goes on, Minami comes tearing it apart. She comes with a cool style, and the way she skissed is like a professional is doing it. She calls MC and wants him to see the maneuver she just did. He finds her very cool and very strong. She comes closer to him and asks him what he thinks about the jump she just did. He is totally blown away by the way she managed that so easily. She is here talking to MC when the teacher of her group calls her, telling her that he warned her already to stay away from the jumps. She is going to hear about it from the teacher now, so she leaves MC and goes to her group. There she gets scolded for doing whatever she wants. But here, MC is still very much in shock, seeing how easy Minami made it look where they are trying hard to even stand straight. Seeing his reaction, Akino knows something is up and asks him if he and Minami are going out. This question takes MC by surprise, as this is the first time he is hearing this kind of thing. They are not going out. He makes that much clear to Akino, but she does not believe him. She tells him that there is probably something going on between them, as no one gets so close by just being friends. She tells him that she saw how close they were in the bus, and that kind of sold it for her. But MC wants her to understand that nothing is going on between him and Minami. On the bus, she was just teasing him as his friend and nothing else. But Akino refuses to believe this. She starts ranting, saying that she knows what kind of girl Minami is. She is the popular type and the one that has fun with everyone. She is the very outgoing type, and then she calls Minami a Jaru. Hearing this rant gives MC a loner type of aura, and he starts understanding why Akino is the way she is. She could have been the extroverted type, but seeing someone like Minami sure killed her confidence in herself, and here we are. Akino adds that this is the type she wanted to be and has all the things that Minami has, but that is just not going to happen, is it? Saying this, Akino tells MC that she is going to go and do independent learning and try skiing one more time. She leaves and all NC is left with is some confused mind and so many questions. He wants to know Akino's backstory, but that is a difficult task. Anyways, we see a child trying to ski down this hill, but it is very scary to him. He tells himself that he just has to go and it will happen itself, but the mind does not connect with the body. Then Minami sees this child struggling and comes up to tell him that he does not have to be scared now that she is with him. She is going to teach him the way it is done, and he will be good in no time. The child is motivated and both of them go down the hill, skiing perfectly well. Another example is that what Akino said was true about Minami though. After a little while, MC and Akino are tired of trying and trying again, but it just does not happen for them. The teacher comes running to them, apologizing for not being with them. He tells them that he had his hands full with the C group and that is why he could not come. But MC is fine and asks him when the lunch break starts. The teacher hesitantly tells him that the other students are already on their break and that if they want, they can take it too. MC is surprised that the teacher really forgot about these two, but hearing that they can take their break, Akino wastes no time and starts taking off the gear. Seeing her leave, MC decides to follow her lead and eat his lunch as well. He gets on the bus and notices Akino alone on the bus. This is very awkward, so he decides to eat his lunch in the dining hall. He goes inside the bus, takes the lunch from his bag, and comes out. Going to the dining hall, he sees that all the students really are done with their lunch break. He is alone and sits at a table. Opening up the lunchbox, to his horror, he forgot his chopsticks in his bag and now he has to go back and get them. He goes and he is just going to jump on the bus, take the chopsticks, and get off. But he was not ready for what he was going to witness inside the bus. He goes on the bus and goes to his seat, but on the way, he notices Akino changing and drying her body with a tissue paper. He sees her and is stuck in place, and she sees him, not knowing what to do. Both of them are silent and have no idea what to do here, but MC takes the first step and turns around. The image of Akino changing is burned in his mind, and he cannot think of anything else right now. He knows what he just saw is surely going to make matters worse with Akino, and he starts apologizing. He apologizes, saying that he did not know that she would be changing. He just came to get his chopsticks as he left them in his bag. He asks her like this if he can take his chopsticks and go away. He promises her that he will not be telling anyone about this and will forget that it even happened. Waiting for a response, he does not get one, which makes the answer clear to him. He is about to leave without the chopsticks when Akino grabs him by the sleeve. She tells him that she will explain everything, so they should stay here and eat together. MC does not know what she is talking about or what she wants to explain. They both sit and MC shares his lunch with her. She starts eating, and it has been a while since she has just been eating without saying anything. MC is waiting for her to talk and explain what she wants to because he has no clue what it could be. He thinks about it and feels like Akino is going to threaten him into staying quiet about what he saw, but that is not the case as Akino starts to speak. She tells him that she has been like this forever. She sweats a lot, and that has been the thing that has made her life worse. She played sports quite often, but as she grew up, she started sweating a lot, and so she stayed out of sports just so the sweat did not embarrass her. There are a lot of things in life she did not learn because of the sweat, and she hates it. She stayed away from people, and slowly, she started avoiding people altogether. She did not notice it, but when she did, it was too late and she was stuck in this personality. She tries doing something once in a while, and she did today. She tried learning to ski today, but that did not go as planned as well, so she gave up. MC hears this and knows how it feels to be like this. He tells her that it must have been very hard for her, and it was to be frank. She looks at Minami and sees herself in her, but the version of her she sees in her is long gone. MC heard everything, but one thing confuses him. Why is she talking to him about all of this? He is the transferred student, and they both do not even know each other yet, and still, she is sharing something so personal. But he has no idea that that is the thing that makes it too easy to talk to him. He is also in the same boat as her. He is also a loner from another school, but here, he has no one. It is just the universe that gave both of them the same seats as well. He feels like such a stupid person as he is the transferred student here, but it is not that bad. They are both talking when MC hears a sound coming from her bag. It would be a normal thing, but that sound kind of triggered Akino, and she is looking at her bag as the sound is annoying her. She is thinking hard about what she should do when MC tells her that she can look inside if she wants to. He does not mind. This startled Akino as she was thinking so hard about the thing in her bag. She opens it up and takes out a tablet. We get to know that it was actually an update to a game she plays, and that was worrying her for some reason. He asks her what that tablet is for when she tells him that it is for her game. She plays a lot, and the update to the game just dropped. She tells him what game she plays, but MC never heard about it. It shocks her and she wants him to check out the game. She lets him hold the tablet and play the game, but he does not know crap about the game. He has never played any game before, so this is very new to him. Seeing him struggle makes her laugh, and she tells him that he is very funny. MC puts his heart into it and wants to learn how to play this game, so Akino starts teaching him. She starts explaining everything one by one, and with time, she gets more and more excited about it to the point MC starts getting creeped out by her. Seeing the look on his face makes her realize that she took it too far. She apologizes and explains that this happens whenever she starts getting friendly with someone. She does not realize this and goes way too far, throwing creeps at the other person. This is clearly making her hate herself, and she hates the fact that she is like this. She tells him that she would love it if she could make friends, but it just does not happen for her. She tries, and the response she gets from the other person makes her feel like dying, so she goes and gets into the corner alone with the only thing she has, her games. But MC tells her that he loves this very thing about it, that she is trying. He would love to learn this game from her and would also love to be her friend. Akino, surprised by this, smiles and tells him that she would teach him only if he called her professor. He agrees, and she starts teaching him the game. She first plays it herself and shows him how it is done. This obviously amazes MC, but now he wants to give it a try. He feels like he can never win the game, but Akino tells him that he just has to focus and try. He does that exactly, and lo and behold, he wins his first game. The happiness on his face is visible, and he is very proud. But Akino tells him that he just defeated the weakest CPU. MC does not care about it, as this is a huge achievement for him. Anyways, he looks at the time, and they are very late. They go outside to resume their practice. Akino suggests that they should just stay here and kill time because the teacher does not want them to force themselves. But MC wants to give it a try together, so he forces Akino. They both get on the chairlift to go up the hill so they can come down from up there. They are on the way when Manami sees them together. On the chairlift, Akino is very scared and tells him that this is the thing she is really afraid of. She thanks MC for being this friendly with her. He starts telling her that Manami was the first friend he got when he came here, and she is the one who takes him around, showing him the city. This really makes Akino jealous, but she feels like there is something surely going on between them. MC denies it, but the way he does it makes Akino feel like it is true. MC thinks this is the perfect opportunity for Manami and her friendship, and he is about to talk to her about Manami when they reach the hill. They both get off and take the position to come down the hill. Akino feels like they should take it slow and just go down very slowly, but MC has one condition here. He wants her to be Manami's friend, so he takes this chance. He explains that Manami has tried so many times talking to her, but she always left her hanging without a response. Akino tells him that she does do it intentionally, but it just happens. Whenever Manami comes to talk to her, it makes her feel as if this girl is trying to talk to her and stuff like that. But MC clears this, assuring her that Manami really just wants to be her friend, nothing else. Akino sure finds him interesting, seeing the way he puts in his head for the others. But he assures her that he is not doing this just for Manami, he also wants to be her friend. Akino agrees to this friendship, but warns him to not leave her alone ever. They both go down the hill, and MC leads the way because he took some pointers from the teachers before the break. Akino follows her lead, and they are skying perfectly for now. Their speed is just fine, and the way they are cruising feels like a dream to Akino. She has been trying to do this for so much time, but it never worked out for her. But this time, she has a friend with her, so it is just so easy. She loves the adrenaline in her body and the way the wind is hitting her. On the other hand, MC is focused on his skiing and wants to take it as perfectly as possible. He knows how to make turns as well, and keeping that in mind, he takes the turn and it was so smoothly done. Even he is shocked, and now he wants to stop following what the teacher told him. He stops, realizing that he just skied all the way down here alone and he is in one piece. He turns to look, and Akino is coming at him flying because she doesn't know how to stop. He forgot to tell her how to stop, and now she has no control over herself. He yells at her, trying to tell her, but she cannot hear him. Akino feels like she is doomed when Manami shows up by her, giving her the hand she needs. She tells Akino that the mountain rescued Yaru is here and now she should be just fine. She tells her that she has to follow what she does, and Akino agrees. Manami goes ahead and shows Akino how to stop, and she does it perfectly. They are fine and lay on the snow to relax a bit. Minami asks Akino if she is alright. Akino could not be better than this, as this is the best day of her life. MC comes to them, struggling to talk on the ski boards. He asks Akino if she is happy. They share this moment before the teacher calls MC and Akino, seeing they were skiing alone down the hill when he told them not to. MC goes to the teacher alone, but Akino tries to stop him. He refuses to take her with him to the teacher because it was his plan and he is going to take responsibility for it as well. MC goes to the teacher and starts apologizing like a child, which makes Akino and Minami giggle. If someone apologized to me like that, you better know that person is getting a kiss from me. On the way back, Minami is quietly sitting in her seat, which is not like her. The student next to her asks her about it, and she says that she is just very happy about how the day went. But we know she is very jealous of Akino and MC sharing the seat and sleeping like that. It is snowing in Hokkaido like always, and the weather is cold enough to freeze one's bones. Suba is suffering because of the cold inside the house too, and contemplating whether he will be able to make it to his school in this terrible weather. On top of that, he had also been skiing the previous day, so it'll be a rough day for him. Suddenly, Grandma pops out of nowhere and tells Suba that Hokkaido's snowfall will test if the boy is built to become a true citizen or not. Suba is a bit surprised to see Grandma, but says that he will give it his best shot to belong to the place. But I don't think that resolve will last long, cause things are wild out there. The snowstorm is very harsh and Suba is regretting leaving the house after that small talk with the woman. He is standing there shivering and his nose and ears are all red. The boy finally starts taking some steps further and is not quite prepared enough for the blizzard. The dude is layered with the clothes but still dying. Suba finally breaks down and starts screaming. It feels like the snow is punching in his face and the muscle soreness is not making things any better for him. So he just stops walking and stands still while the ice-cold wind stabs through his bare face. Suba finds himself trapped in one place because the storm is a bit too much, and it is really hard for him to see anything clearly. He then closes his eyes and thinks of Fuyuki, who walks in the snow without any warm clothes on. And Suba believes that the girl must go to school and are not so covered up jet up, even in this freezing snowstorm. This dude is down bad, cause he remembers every outfit Fuyuki has worn. Even when they were skiing, Fuyuki did not seem to care enough about anything else other than her drip. Thinking of him gives him some power, and as he decides to walk, he hears a car approaching. He apologizes for occupying the road and ends up falling down. Things are not going great for this kid. Poor Suba is traumatized by the winters at this point and thinks he is about to die. So he closes his eyes to accept his fate, and the first thing he sees is Fuyuki's face. He is sure that death has finally got to him and his life is flashing before his eyes. Suba says his goodbyes to his life in Hokkaido, but guess there were no vacancies in heaven that day. Suba hears Fuyuki calling his name from afar, and he finally opens his eyes again, so dramatic for nothing. Fuyuki scolds him for being so reckless and walking in the blizzard like that. The blue car happened to be Fuyuki's, and she tells Suba to get in the car. This boy really thought Fuyuki was made out of wood. Suba still thinks his life is over and asks if he is in the afterlife. Fuyuki aggressively drags him to the car, and as she grabs his arm, Suba starts to scream in sheer pain. After all that mess, Fuyuki and Suba are finally in the car, and the dude greets Fuyuki's mother. He apologizes for being a nuisance, but he clearly is not one. Fuyuki signals her mother to get going, and the woman is ready to hit the gas pedal too. She tells Suba to be himself with them, and when she speaks, Suba goes into yet another shock. The fact that Fuyuki's mother looks more like her sister makes the boy not believe his eyes. The jaw drop is valid, I must say. The woman looks too young to be a mother, and Suba finds a great similarity between Fuyuki and her mother. Fuyuki brings Suba back to reality by teasingly saying that their family car must not compare to what Suba has cause he lives in a mansion. Suba doesn't find any reality in what Fuyuki said, and the name rings a bell for the mom too. She asks if Suba is the same rich bagged-up guy Fuyuki never stops talking about back at home. Suba is surprised to find out that he's known as a rich kid. Mom is disappointed in herself for not looking her best as she was going to run into a rich kid. Fuyuki tells her to stop being that way, and Suba is clueless. Fuyuki's mom decides to stop with the jokes, and she's happy to meet Suba in real life. Suba, though, is not very much. He feels anxious in their company, and to make things worse, Fuyuki's mother asks him if he has any girlfriend back in Tokyo. The question almost pulls the soul out of him, and Fuyuki doesn't get why he would react that way, As she touches his arm, he almost screams again in pain and the gal apologizes. Suba tells her that it hurts because he used the muscles he usually doesn't in skiing and that his body is sore, so Fuyuki, like the badass she is, decides to make things even more awkward for him. She ends up saying that she will have to avoid being rough with Suba, and that mere sentence makes the boy go all red and pumped up. He is screaming internally, and her mom is making things a little spicier too. She tells her daughter that she has enough potential to pound at it for 24 hours if she has to. Suba looks away, finding the mother to be tough too. He then looks back at Fuyuki and expresses his amazement in how the girl didn't suffer because of the rough day they had yesterday. Fuyuki excitedly says that she is alright. Suba nervously clears his throat and makes it clear to the both women that he in fact is single. Fuyuki's mother doesn't appreciate that much and asks him if her daughter has any slight chance as she's really cute too. And like any girl would react, Fuyuki gets really defensive too and tells her mother to stop embarrassing her like that. The woman literally keeps smirking the whole time. Suba in the back thinks how things right now feel the way they did when he met Fuyuki for the first time. Fuyuki's mother doesn't plan on stopping though. She tells Suba how Fuyuki looks as cute as her father and that she wants to witness the cute, lovey-dovey me-Suba couple. Suba couldn't say anything back to her, while Fuyuki looks like she will commit second-degree murder anytime now. She lifts her head up and warns her mother with a scary sign. Scary enough to make that woman nervous, and she decides to stop speaking. She tells Fuyuki that she doesn't have to be so mad about it and that she just couldn't contain her happiness after meeting Suba. Suba, on the other hand, is taking in how Fuyuki becomes when she is angry. He doesn't find her too scary but decides he will be careful nonetheless. The quiet is finally restored in the car and the traffic light turns red. So Fuyuki's mother decides to break the ice again in the snowstorm and says that Suba wouldn't have experienced such weather because he is from Tokyo. And she is correct, he is wondering why they didn't decide to keep the school closed for the day. Fuyuki is with him on this one but says that this storm is not enough to scare the school in Hokkaido. Suba and Fuyuki get into a discussion about the difference in the snow situations between Tokyo and Hokkaido. Suba tells the girl that the people of Tokyo would go insane if it had snowed this much there. Fuyuki agrees and says that the snow will be broadcasted on the news channel when it is the norm for Hokkaido. She gets why Suba finds it all very abnormal, but the dude is stuck up on one thing. He says that he assumed the people of Hokkaido, who are so used to the freezing cold, would be going about their business normally in this storm. Fuyuki and her mother collectively agree to disagree on his assumption. With that, the light finally turns green and the woman restarts the engine. She clears out Suba's concern by telling him that the kids who usually commute to the school are usually dropped at the school by their parents on days like this. It all sounds pretty new to the boy, but it is what it is. Fuyuki tells him that she dresses lightly for the vibes and aesthetics, but she wouldn't dare to leave her house in such cold weather like that. Suba is pretty surprised because the image he had in mind about the locals there was completely different. When his grandma told him that withstanding the cold was the first condition of becoming a true citizen of Hokkaido, he thought that people would walk to their destinations even when it's white out. He doesn't get what his grandma meant earlier. Fuyuki's mother continues and says that winter comes with an expense, and the blood of their wallets goes cold first. She says that winter clothing is really expensive, so things must not go in flow for them. Fuyuki tells her that she wants to get a job to afford buying all the boots and coats, and that her allowance isn't enough. Her mother tells her that she's not old enough to get one, and Fuyuki doesn't get why that is so. Her mother says that Fuyuki's father wouldn't appreciate her getting a job either. This whole mother-daughter interaction is really warm for Suba to witness, and he thinks to himself about how close the family must be. To him, being a gal in Hokkaido doesn't seem like an easy job. But besides all of that, he makes sure to make it audible for them to know that both of them are beautiful just the way they are. That came out of nowhere and left both of the women's mouths open. They blush really hard and get kind of nervous after hearing that. Mon jokingly says that flattery wouldn't get Suba anywhere, and Fuyuki tries to brush the randomness away by telling her mom that he gets like that sometimes. Suba processes everything too late, but yeah, the ride to school was interesting. They are finally in front of the school now, and Suba thanks Fuyuki's mother genuinely for saving him from dying out in the cold. The woman asks the boy if really lives close to their house, and Suba tells her that it only takes him 10 minutes to reach there by foot. Hearing that makes her happy, and she offers to help him out every time there is a blizzard out. Suba couldn't have asked for more, and all he needs to do is tell Fuyuki about it. Fuyuki's big smile drops when she hears her mother saying that. And with that, Suba finally gets out of the car and steps into misery again. Then, Fuyuki's mother gets her daughter's attention and compliments the wordplay she did earlier. Fuyuki turns into a tomato and says it wasn't much before leaving the car herself. Suba and Fuyuki unite in the cold with the goal to run to their class to escape it. Poor Suba is suffering from the cramps and having a hard time running. Fuyuki's mother, meanwhile, is warmed up from the inside thinking how the two of them have a little spring going on in this cruel winter. And I get her, the two look very cute together. Later we see Suba and Fuyuki finally walking in the hallways of the school. Fuyuki notices that her friend is having a hard time walking on his own, so she offers him a hand after asking if he's alright. Suba says he will be fine on his own, and then he sees Akino walking in their direction too. Fuyuki is more than excited to see her friend, so she runs up to her with her arms open for a hug. She hugs the girl happily and greets, but Akino doesn't seem to be in her best state either. Akino breaks the hug and puts her hand against the wall for support as the rest of her body quivers in pain. Fuyuki didn't know it would be like that, and Suba realizes that Akino's body must be sore because of the ski too. So he asked her about it, and he was correct. Akino asks him if it is the same for him, and the boy tells her that he feels a lot better. The two then get into a conversation about they are still noobs when it comes to skiing. Fuyuki is just standing there feeling a little left out while the two of them talk and giggle. 10 seconds was the maximum time it took Fuyuki to have an angry outburst, and she tells him to stop acting so friendly without including her. She finds it unfair, but Akino doesn't get what it was about cause she isn't being that friendly with the dude. Suba hesitatingly agrees with Akino, and Fuyuki feels bad for not having sore muscles to talk about. Later, the bells are heard ringing and students are in their cozy uniforms now. Fuyuki is busy putting on some lipsticks, while Suba tidies up his desk. Fuyuki must have noticed how the boy doesn't ask her for blankets anymore, so she asks if he has finally bought all the warmers and comforters now. Suba tells her that he has, and that surviving without all of that Hokkaido is not very possible. He also apologizes for bothering her with those things too, but Fuyuki never minded helping him out. In the middle of the tiny chit-chat, Fuyuki is reminded of something, and she slightly smirks before revealing the warmers she is wearing under her jacket. She asks the boy if he has got some like her too. As soon as she unbuttons her uniform jacket, Suba goes into a shock cause her massive melons are on display. I bet Fuyuki knew what she was doing being that way. Suba looks away so he doesn't get caught lacking and instantly tells her that he doesn't have any warmers. Suba looks really nervous because he thinks he has found out the reason why Fuyuki doesn't wear too much clothing. Fuyuki, in the meantime, takes off some of her warmers and hands them to Tsubaya so he can feel warm too. Suba thanks her for the gesture and accepts the pads. The feeling is very odd for him as he never once in his life thought he would be sitting in a school, getting along so well with a gal. He thinks that befriending one back in his city would have been impossible. Suba is looking at Fuyuki, who is now done buttoning her uniform back now. The girl is looking at her makeup bag and looks like she is running out of lipsticks. She says to herself that she needs to buy one, and Suba says she should buy a new lipstick after the class is over. Well, Fuyuki got more excited over the fact that Suba was now using Hokkaido dialect than lipstick. Suba didn't realize it until Fuyuki pointed it out, and the girl is on cloud 9 after hearing him speak like that. She believes that her company injected that spirit into him and expresses how happy she is to the boy. Fuyuki tells him that the accent confirms the fact that he has become Hokkaido local now. Hearing that puts Suba in thought, and that is when Akino joins the two too. She tells Suba to not rely on Fuyuki for things because she is way different than them in many ways. And Akino believes Suba must have noticed that fact too. I get where Akino is coming from. Those chess balls are exceptionally giant. But Fuyuki doesn't get what she's talking about and says her Hokkaido-ness can't be doubted because she was born and raised in the city. Akino says that the same is the case for her, but even after all of that, she hasn't developed any local dialect or accent. She adds to the conversation by saying that she isn't good at skiing and bearing with winters like Fuyuki, and she believes many locals are on the same page too. Suba is wonderstruck to see Akino speaking up for herself like that, and thinks she must have felt a little insecure. Fuyuki tells Akane that all of her family uses the Hokkaido dialect while they speak, but things are very different for Akino since not a lot of her family members have an accent. All of them except her grandparents, she clears it out. Suba picks up on the fact that dialects must depend on the age, location, and families of the locals. The debate over who is local enough ends when Suba notices the switch Akino is holding in her hands. Akino was most definitely waiting for that to happen because she gets insanely excited about it. She tells him that she thought she might as well bring the thing to the class. Akino says shyly that Suba doesn't have to join him if he doesn't feel like it, but he tells her that he doesn't mind playing with her at all. Fuyuki just watches as all of that happens, and Akino blushes the hardest when Suba agrees to play with her. She turns his face to the other side to hide her red cheeks. She says to herself that Suba is really innocent for using the words that made the whole thing sound dirty. Girl, you just have a dirty mind yourself, I think. Suba, though, is really happy to be learning new games from Akino and mentions it to Fuyuki. He also asks her if she wants to become a student of Akino like him too. And Fuyuki is all about it at that moment, even though she doesn't know what Akino is serving. Sabaya tells Akino to take notice of how excited Fuyuki is to join the two. Akino finally looks back and sees Fuyuki making a pleading face, asking to be allowed to join her class. Akino lets her in and the red on her cheeks fades away too. She tells Fuyuki to meet her up at Tobu once the class ends. Fuyuki can't keep her excitedness in and Suba's confusion is spilling out too. Tobu happens to be a huge mall that contains a fashion section and of course a food court. It is huge enough to have a whole grocery store inside too, and Suba thinks the place is really big. But Akino thinks his city Tokyo has better and fancier malls. Shibaya agrees to some extent, but says that this mall is a bit more vast than the places back in his city. Fuyuki wants to know what makes this mall different, and Sabaya tells her that this one is comparatively huger. Akino agrees as Hokkaido has plenty of land, and Sabaya adds to it by saying that Hokkaido is not crowded all the time, so the environment is really calm and peaceful. Akino asks Fuyuki if she thinks the same about the city, and she most definitely does. Then we hear Fuyuki screaming about something, and the three of them have finally gotten started with the switch. They seem too immersed in the game, and Akino is trying to guide Fuyuki throughout the game too. After all the losses and trials, Fuyuki ends up clearing the game and Akino couldn't be happier. Fuyuki gets up from her chair to share the joy with her friend, and Suba smiles at them for celebrating this small accomplishment. Later, Suba has to use the bathroom, and the girls tell him the way and say they'll be there waiting for him. Once Suba leaves, Fuyuki seizes the chance to ask Akino to go with her to check out the cosmetics in the mall. She says that she knows Steirin loves that stuff, and Fuyuki calling Akino by her given name makes the girl flustered. Akino almost fell in love at that moment when Fuyuki kept on calling her by that name. She ends up saying yes to Fuyuki upon her insistence, and that makes Fuyuki jump in happiness. To make it even better, Akino says that the two should buy contact lenses together because they are pretty expensive. Fuyuki is down to share her stuff with Akino, and while Akino gets lost in thought for a moment, Fuyuki names all the things she needs to buy from the store. Akino addresses Fuyuki to confess how nice of a gal she is. The sudden confession makes Fuyuki blush, and Akino then makes things even more nerve-wracking when she apologizes to Fuyuki for acting cold to her at school. Fuyuki tells her to not worry about any of that because she has never minded that attitude of hers. Moments later, Suba comes back from his toilet break too, and Fuyuki waves at him. Later, all of them end up visiting the cosmetic store, and Fuyuki and Akino are checking out all the cool cosmetics there. Fuyuki is showing Suba a shampoo to choose, and with that, their shopping spree at the store ends. Fuyuki bought the shampoo Suba picked out for her, and Akino also got the contact lenses the boy chose. Suba thought that he messed up there and begs for forgiveness if the things aren't good enough for use. But the girls reassure him in a singular voice, and the sync makes them feel connected too. Suba is looking at them with warmth too, but he notices that it is getting dark outside, so he signals they must leave for home now. The girls agree, but Fuyuki suggests doing one more fun activity before leaving. She points at all the cute photo booths standing there, and after picking the one that suits their taste the best, they take some cute group photos. The night has finally fallen and the sky looks clear. Suba is sitting at his desk, doing his schoolwork, looking like a nerd with those glasses. While writing in his notebook, he suddenly thinks of English homework. He isn't sure about the deadline of the assignment and decides to ask Fuyuki about it as she must know. He picks up his phone and texts the girl. He turns his phone to look at its back, and there he has it, the group photo they took earlier. Suba smiles after looking at the photo, and his phone vibrates. It was Fuyuki, and she was really fast with that reply. The girl was so slick with the text though. She told the dude how she's taking a bath when he wanted to know about the English homework. Guess we're learning more fun things now. She even sends him a picture of the toy she has along while she sits in the bathtub. Suba was already losing it after the text, and the picture made things harder for him. His face goes all red, and Fuyuki knows the game she's playing too. On the other side of the phone, she is sitting there, looking at her phone, eagerly waiting to get a reaction or an erection out of the boy, and he finally responds saying he feels bad for texting her in the middle of her bath. Suba found the toy cute too, and that text really disappointed Fuyuki. Little does she know, Suba is merely holding on to his sanity in his room, and to make sure he loses all of it. Fuyuki sends him a snap of her humongous melons out in the wild, and as soon as Suba sees that picture, he goes crazy and starts sweating cause more than a mere English assignment is due now. Fuyuki did all of that so she would get a better reaction out of her victim, and I'm surprised she knew she overdid it there. But nope, Suba is too clean to say anything unclean and ends up complimenting the amount of effort Fuyuki must put into taking such beautiful pictures. Suba is questioning whether he responded correctly in his room, and Fuyuki decides to play her game on creative mode. She rings Suba's phone and the boy contemplates whether to pick up before answering. He had no other option in that situation, but little did he know, it was a freaking video call, and once he found out, Fuyuki got the reaction she was dying to see, or hear to be specific. Suba's camera was off, but Fuyuki teases him by saying she can see how red his face is. When he realizes she can't see his face and his reaction has made everything obvious, he puts his phone away because Fuyuki is a threat to his life at this point. Fuyuki is enjoying every bit of it in her bathtub and asks if Suba soaks his body in a bath daily. He tells her that he just bathed a little while ago, so Fuyuki decides to give him more information about who in her family bathes every day. Suba says that he could tell she must bathe frequently since it's so cold out. Fuyuki goes on to tell him about her father's bathing habits and says he doesn't sweat a lot and it would cost way too much, so he avoids taking long baths. Suba thinks that her mother and father bathing daily doesn't make a difference with the bills, but Fuyuki says taking half-body baths changes things slightly. Suba finds the bill work tiring, and Fuyuki is reminded of the times her family used to go on hot spring trips. Suba likes the idea, and Fuyuki suggests that he goes to try some springs out in Kitami. Suba finds the suggestion nice, and here it comes again, the flirting. Fuyuki offers going together to the springs to make it better, and that catches Suba off guard. But it doesn't get him that bad this time, and Fuyuki gets disappointed. She then asks him what he's up to, and he tells that he's working on his English assignment. He finally mentions the thing he texted her for, and asks if they are supposed to hand in the homework tomorrow. Hearing that makes Fuyuki cold in the middle of all that hot talk, and she loses her crap. She gets up to leave the bathtub, and as she does, her phone slips from her hand, and Suba picks up his phone to see if she's alright. Fortunately, he happened to almost drop his phone on the ground, and the nude body of Fuyuki didn't catch Suba's eyes. Fuyuki thought the boy must have seen her naked, but he didn't know what she was talking about cause he couldn't get a hold of his phone himself. The call then ends, and Suba doesn't understand what's going on with the girl, and honestly, Fuyuki doesn't either. She finally gets out of the tub and sits on the ground, experiencing the aftershock of what she just did. Her mom sees her sitting there and tells her she'd shower next. She asks her if she's feeling lightheaded, and Fuyuki tells her that she is, a little. And after all that fun stuff, Fuyuki couldn't hand in her assignment on time and got scolded by the teacher. Fuyu is singing in a karaoke studio, while Tsu is watching her with a bright smile on his face. Any man would be happy when they go from no Rizz to being friends with a girl with huge milkers. She is singing her favorite song and looks really happy because she is spending time with Tsu. Fuyu sings romance songs and is full of energy. The karaoke studio is a Halloween-themed studio, and it might be because of the park theme. Tsu blushes while he watches Fuyu singing. She is staring at him, and it makes him get shy, which in turn makes Tsu's face red as your mama's cherries, and he starts looking the other way. It has been a long time since Fuyu visited a theme park after middle school. She is glad that she decided to go out with Tsu. After Fuyu finishes her song, the classmates start cheering for her loudly because she sang really well. Tsu and Sayu are amazed because they think that Fuyu is a really great singer, and they found that fact recently and did not know about it before. Sayu feels that Fuyu has a party girl vibe. Well, that could bring wrath upon our very own introvert, Some. Fuyu's friends tell her, saying that she sings the same song every time they go to karaoke. She grabs her juice and tells her friend that it's because she really loves that song because it always cheers her up and makes her really happy, and she gulps down her juice. Sue is watching her and keeps looking at her. Sayu was talking to Sue about something, but he can't hear her, even though he is sitting next to her. She repeats herself and asks him if he goes to karaoke a lot. Sue smiles and tells her that he only goes to karaoke with his family. He tells her that he's glad Fuyu invited him, but he's also nervous at the same time. Sue asks her if she's used to it. Sayu blushes and tells him that she comes by herself sometimes. Sue gets nervous and asks Sayu if she goes to karaoke alone, and she says that it's fine because everyone has their own thing. Sayu feels that Sue is trying to say that she's too lonely. Later, the classmates tell Sue and Sayu that they should choose a song. Sayu tells her friend that she doesn't know about a lot of mainstream stuff. Fuyu, free and drinking her juice, sits between both of them in a narrow space and tells them that she would love to find a song along with them. The other classmate tells Fuyu that she just sang a song earlier. She tells him that she was just helping Sue and Sayu find a song. She smiles and blinks her eyes because she is full of energy. Fuyu chooses a song and grabs Sayu and Sue's hands. She tells them that they should sing the song with each other. Looks like a lonely boy is not so lonely anymore, seeing the girls he is landing. Later, the classmates start eating, and a student tells the boys that the finals are almost here. He is dull because he doesn't like to study. The other friend of Sue tells him that the exams cover too much stuff and time. Sue gets nervous and agrees with his friend that the exams and their preparation do take a lot of time. The first friend suggests that they all should have a study party sometime. All the guys get excited about it and say that they should surely do it. The girls are talking with each other. Fuyu is busy on her phone, and Sayu's friend compliments that her nails are really cute. Sayu tells her that she really likes that color. Fuyu sees Valentine's chocolate on her phone. She gets happy and tells her classmates that Valentine's Day is almost here. Some boys get dull and tell her that they really don't have any interest in giving chocolates. That could be because most of them don't have any female interaction like y'all. Oops, didn't mean to hurt your feelings by some blunt reality. The girl tells him that he really doesn't sound like he means it. And the other girl teases him and tells him that she would give him some chocolates as a courtesy. The boy is shocked, and he is happy that he spoke up. Things in the life of nerds sometimes do take an unexpected turn. Sue starts wondering about Valentine's Day and thinks Fuyu is going to give chocolates to everyone. The red-haired boy asks Fuyu to give him some chocolates. She is excited and tells him that she surely will because she plans to make a ton of chocolates that year. Fuyu's friend asks her about how many chocolates she made last year. After thinking about it, she tells her that she almost made 60 chocolates for everyone on the same day. The girl smiles and tells her that she passed out the chocolates for school lunch. Sue gets relaxed because Fuyu gives chocolates to everyone, not just someone special. He is relieved, but Sayu's son is staring at him while she is blushing. The girl asks Sayu if she likes to make chocolates on Valentine's Day. Sayu tells her that she doesn't because she prioritizes spending the money on her hobbies. The girls think that she is cool because she always says what she thinks. The boy asks Sue if he got chocolates from girls in Tokyo. Sue smiles and tells them that he only got chocolates from his family. His friend starts teasing him and tells him that it really doesn't count. Both Fuyu and Sayu stare at Sue. Both of them have a crush on him and want to make him their Valentine. New York sure was unlucky for him. Later it gets late in the evening and everyone decides to go back home. Everyone leaves first and Sayu, Sue, and Fuyu are left behind. Sue is smiling because he really enjoyed talking to everyone. Fuyu and Sayu go near Sue and want to say something to him. Fuyu talks first and asks Sue if he liked his time with them. What would a nerd even want more than this? Sayu gets serious because she is eager to talk to Sue, but she feels shy to talk to him. He tells her that he really liked his time with them and actually enjoyed it. Fuyu asks Sayu, and she gets nervous and starts blushing really hard. She tells her that she also enjoyed it a lot. She smiles and gets excited, telling them that she will surely invite them next time. Sue asks Sayu if something is wrong because she also wanted to say something to him. Sayu gets nervous and tells him that it was nothing and she has nothing to talk or tell him about. Sue smiles and asks her if they should walk home together. On their way, Fuyu tells Sue that he is really a good singer. Sue smiles and says he is glad to hear it from her. Sayu stops behind and looks at her phone. She sees a post about a Valentine couple and gets curious about Sue's choice of girls and what kind of women he is into. The only requirements men need is breathing and a live girl, so she should not worry about it too much. She wants to ask him out on Valentine's Day, but Fuyu is also waiting to go out with Sue as a couple. Sue calls Sayu from ahead. She puts her phone back into her pocket and runs toward them. Sue drops both of them off at their homes safely. The next day, Sayu is playing video games on her couch. She looks at her phone, and it's February 2nd. She tells herself to forget about chocolates and tries to convince herself that the event is more important. But she eventually goes to the Valentine's Day store and can't stop herself. She is hiding in the store to see if someone knows her or not. But she gets caught by Fuyu, and she is just right behind her. She asks her about what she is doing in the Valentine chocolate store. Sayu gets thrilled because Fuyu surprises her from behind. Sayu asks her about what she is doing in the store. Fuyu tells her that she came to get ingredients to make chocolate and she is shopping for it. Sayu gets nervous and tells her that she understands her. She knows that Fuyu is going to make chocolates for everyone. Fuyu is curious and asks Sayu if she is also finding something so that she can help her with it. Sayu makes an excuse and tells her that her nail polish just started taking off and she came to buy some more. Fuyu sees her nails and they are light in color. Sayu gets nervous and tells Fuyu that she came to buy some cosmetics. She doesn't want anyone to know that she is also going to buy chocolates for someone. She asks Fuyu if she has knowledge about cosmetics so that she can help her. Hearing that, Fuyu gets excited. She starts checking for cosmetics with Sayu, and she is glad she got an amazing nail polish for herself. She tells Sayu that she can't help herself once she sees something amazing, and she literally has to get it. So Fuyu buys nail polish that suits her nails, and she forgets that she was going to buy ingredients for herself. She tells Sayu that she will bring the cosmetics that they are sharing to the school tomorrow. Sayu tells her that it's fine. Fuyu is happy because she loves the limited Valentine's Day edition of the lipstick. When Fuyu remembers Valentine, she asks Sayu about what kind of chocolate she likes. Sayu's face turns red, and she tells Fuyu that she likes ganaches and stuff like that. She is embarrassed to tell her about her taste. Fuyu gets excited and tells Sayu that she always buys Royce's Nama chocolate whenever she goes to Sapporo. She starts missing Sapporo and wants to go there. Fuyu looks at her phone and tells Sayu that she is getting late. That's why she has to buy chocolate ingredients fast. She tells Sayu that she will see her later. Sayu gets nervous. Her face becomes red like a tomato, and she tries her best to ask Fuyu if she can help her with shopping. When Fuyu looks at Sayu, she gets embarrassed and tells her not to think badly about her because she also wants to make chocolates for her. Fuyu's face starts shining, and she starts feeling blessed because she discovers that someone shares an interest in her. She grabs her hand and tells Sayu that she will make her best chocolates ever. She starts running into the store with Sayu. The snow starts falling in the city again. Both Sayu and Fuyu buy ingredients for chocolates. They go outside the mall, and Fuyu tells her that she can feel free to call her anytime if she ever needs her help making chocolates. Sayu thanks her, and Fuyu goes home. Sayu lowers her head. She can't match her eyes with Fuyu. She asks her if she doesn't want to give Sue real things instead of special chocolates. Fuyu starts staring at Sayu because she is shocked. She asks her why she thinks like that, and Sayu guesses it because both of them get along really well. On the other hand, Sue is studying with his concentration all in his textbook. Then he stretches himself, pauses the song he was listening to while studying, and says to himself that he has covered up almost everything on the exam. After that, he looks at the date on his phone, blushes, and internally yells that he should not get his hopes up too high for tomorrow as he also has a final exam and tries to study again. Meanwhile, Sayu is standing in her kitchen, the place she belongs to, with a bunch of raw materials on the counter. She is also texting Fuyu, and Fuyu asks her if she is okay. Then Fuyu tells her that she is almost done making chocolates, and she wants to know how Sayu is doing. Not performing her job well, I guess. Sayu responds to her that she is usually playing games all night long, so she is awake, and now she is about to start making the chocolates. An idea pops into Fuyu's mind, and she calls Sayu excitedly and says she is happy that she talked to her for the first time on the phone. Sayu nervously says what the point of it is, and Fuyu smiles looking at her on the phone. Then Sayu asks her what the best way is to make chocolates, and she would rather use the easiest way to make the chocolate than the hard way. Fuyu tells her that she has just the way she wants and begins instructing her. The first step she tells Sayu is to take the chocolate and chop it into little pieces. Sayu picks up her knife and begins chopping as if she has some experience in the kitchen. But her skills are developed because of gaming all night long. A gamer girlfriend who can cook as well? Yeah, you'll see this shit only in anime. Sayu tells Fuyu she is done chopping and what the next step is, and Fuyu is surprised that she did it already. Followed by the next step, she asks Sayu to get the fresh cream she bought from the market today, then put that in a bowl and double boil it. Sayu doesn't know what double boiling is, so Fuyu tells her what to do. Take some boiling water in a pan and then heat it up more. The next step is, in a container, to add all the ingredients she needs to warm up and put them on top of the boiling water. So Fuyu tells her to take half of the cream she bought from the market in a bowl and then add chocolate to it as well. Then stir the chocolate and cream as it melts. Then Fuyu tells Sayu to cool up the chocolate in the freezer for 1 or 2 hours and then cut it up in all the sizes she wants. The only thing left is the cocoa powder. Sayu closes the fridge, says to her that it was really easy, and asks what Fuyu's chocolate looks like. Fuyu says to see that, she has to wait till tomorrow, and this girl has made chunks of different stuff like cookies and whatnot. The only girls that know their duty are just animated now. Sayu asks how many pieces she was able to make, and Fuyu says she made 70 pieces, and that is a new record for her as well. Sayu says that Fuyu has so many friends that it is scary. What is scary? Socializing? A person who is stuck to gaming all day won't know what grass feels like. Sayu says she is surprised that Fuyu can keep herself so motivated. Fuyu responds while decorating that it makes everyone really happy. She tells her further that she is excited to see how everyone will like her stuff, but Fuyu knows that she is the most excited about the entire thing. Then Fuyu asks her who Sayu was thinking about while making the chocolates, and Sayu blushes and yells at Fuyu that she has told her before too that she made these for Fuyu, so she needs to stop making her say that out loud. As Fuyu hears it, she says she is so excited about it and happy that she made them for her. But who else was she thinking about? Fuyu asks Sayu, is there someone else she was thinking about? Fuyu says that she has been wondering that for a while about her, and Su and Sayu begin to get shy. And well, that called for a lot of trouble as Fuyu spilled everything on the cookies and chocolates she made. Sayu asks her what happened, and Fuyu sadly tells her that she accidentally spilled everything, including soy sauce. Sayu asks if there is anything saved, and Fuyu tells her that everything is drenched in soy sauce. But Fuyu says that it was her own fault that she did not clean up, and now she will clean up the mess that just got made, and she assures Sayu that she will remember what she taught her. With that said, she hangs up the call and then texts Sayu best of luck for tomorrow. Sayu wonders how she can be so calm and still nice after her entire preparations went to waste. The next day, early in the morning, Su enters the school and goes to his locker. With all his might, he opens his locker and wonders what could be inside of it because it is Valentine's Day. Well, his no Rizz showed up and his locker was empty. Then he goes to his classroom, where Fuyu was standing with a bag in her hand. She sees Su coming into the class and goes to him. Su notices that Fuyu's eyes are literally red as heck. Then, Fuyu hands her over chocolate for Valentine's Day and says that he can't find it anywhere in New York. Su's eyes brighten up as he holds that chocolate and thanks Fuyu for the chocolate, and he says he promises to enjoy it. Fuyu looks at him with surprise and fakes a smile, which Su notices. Then Sayu comes inside the class too, and Fuyu goes to her and says that there is something that she got for Sayu too, and she gives her a piece of chocolate. Su, behind her, keeps holding the chocolate with a smile on her face. Someone tells Fuyu that they want a piece of chocolate too, and Fuyu rushes to them to give them the chocolate. But as she hands them over the chocolate, he asks why it is not handmade, as if he is the one paying for it. Fuyu, with a smile, says that the production this year was suspended due to unseen circumstances. That guy says that he was really expecting it, and it is a very big letdown to him. Fuyu does not say anything, and then the guy gets called outside by some girls. Su wonders that Fuyu did not make any chocolates this year and wonders what happened. The guy gets handed over some chocolates, and then Sayu comes outside and angrily says to him that if he ever talks to Fuyu again with that tone, she will pound him really badly. I can't tell if that is a good thing or a bad thing. Well, the guy gets scared of her, and then Sayu walks back into the classroom. After a while, the class begins, and Su looks over to Fuyu and sees that she looks really sad. The period gets over and the bell rings. The teacher tells them that starting today, the clubs are on hiatus for the exams, and everyone should make sure to get home straight unless they have cleaning duties. Later, Sayu is looking at the group distributions and then sees a text from Fuyu on her cell phone. She tells her good luck again, and Sayu smiles. In the music room, Fuyu and Su have some cleaning duties, and then she takes the other people to take out the trash she and Sue cleaned. Then Sue says to her while he opens the locker that they always hear the band practice after the class, so it feels kind of weird that everything is so quiet right now. Fuyu hands her mop to him and says that he is right, because it feels like there is no one except them in the entire school. Sue takes her mop and turns back to the locker and says that he is very thankful to her for the chocolate she gave him, and he loved it very much, so he will eat it when he gets home and closes the locker. But he hears nothing from Fuyu. He turns to see her and is shocked that she is crying so badly that she can't even speak. Sayu was passing by the room and stood outside the gate. Sue asks Fuyu if she is okay to share. He would very much like to know what is going on. Fuyu tells him what happened, and then Sue says that he understands the whole thing now that her chocolates got ruined because of her own mistake. Fuyu says that she still thought that some of them could be saved, but they were cracked and had some milk in them. But sadly, Fuyu says that who would want to give someone messed up chocolates? She starts crying again uncontrollably, saying that she still wanted to give everyone the chocolates she made, and she feels like she disappointed everyone. Sue keeps looking at her, and Fuyu says while she cries that she also wants to give some to Sue as well. Sue starts feeling emotional for her as well, and Fuyu wipes her tears while she tells him that her mom told her to clean up first, and she did not listen to her. Further, she said that she asked something weird on the phone to a friend of hers that she should not have asked, and that bothered her. Fuyu says that she is being punished for acting so thoughtlessly. She was rubbing her eyes, and then when she removed her hands from her eyes, she did not seat Sue in front of her. Well, Sue goes and sits at the piano and begins playing the piano for her because that is all he could think about for now to do for her. He keeps playing it for her while Sayu stands outside as well. The entire building is full of melody, and he stops after a while. Fuyu, standing beside the piano, asks Sue what that was. Sue says that it was the karaoke of the song she made. He explained that he knows how to play the piano, so he thought that he could try to learn it by ear. He asks her how it was, and Fuyu says excitedly that he totally nailed it. But why did he choose this song? Sue says that she always cheers him up, so this time he wanted to cheer her up and played the piano for her. Hearing that, Fuyu brightens up and thinks about the time she told him that this song is her favorite and makes her really happy. Then Fuyu actually does cheer up and says Sue always manages to make her happy and tear up. She tells him that she is so happy because of him now, and he is the best. Sue is glad that he managed to make her happy and smile. Then Sayu walks into the room, and both of them are shocked. She tells them that she had chocolates to give away, and Fuyu understands, so she picks up her bag and begins leaving. But Sayu says that she had to give chocolates to Fuyu. Sayu looks at Fuyu, and she bets that Fuyu did not remember that they are Choco Buddies. Fuyu is so happy to have them, and she hugs her and tells her she loves her. However, Sayu says that she needs to watch it because her nose is running. And then Fuyu asks her if she can open it now, and Sayu says if she wants to eat right now, then she can. On the other hand, Sue stands embarrassed that it was so obvious that those chocolates were for him, and he wanted to burrow himself deep inside the ground because of the embarrassment he saw. But Sue gets handed over a bag of chocolates as well by Sayu, who says that she got it for him as well because he is her disciple and she had some leftovers as well. Sue gets so happy taking the chocolates and says that he is truly grateful for them. Sayu blushes and says that he was great on the piano a while back. Fuyu ate the chocolate and said that these are so good and she loved them. Sayu says that she is glad that Fuyu liked them since it was also her first time making them. Then Fuyu looks at Sue and says that he even got some chocolates from her. So they all take their chocolates out and take all their chocolates out, and they have a chocolate party together. It's a bright sunny afternoon at school as the bell rings for the end of class. The teacher is trying his best to be funny, saying the students need to put their pedals to the metals since final exams start next week. Of course, the students reply with a series of sighs and grunts, to which he tells them to stop saying as he excuses them from class. One of the students, Tsubasa Shiki, starts to pack his bag and puts his books away as he thinks about how he's already covered all the subjects for the test. What a nerd. And now he just needs to review the tough parts. However, his train of thoughts is interrupted by a girl sighing really loudly next to him. He looks to where he heard the sound from and sees a blonde girl with her head down on the desk. She's complaining about how it feels like midterms just ended and it's finals already. He asks the girl, Minami Fuyuki, if she really hates tests that much. And she truly sounds frustrated as she says there's absolutely nothing to like about them. However, she suspects him and asks if he likes them since he's asking so nicely. Tsubasa's not really sharp as he tries to genuinely answer her questions, saying he doesn't necessarily like them that much, but it's good in the sense that you get to directly see your efforts pay off, so it's satisfying in that way. I'm sure he could find other things to satisfy himself. Fuyuki is really surprised and maybe a little disappointed because she's never heard someone talk so enthusiastically about tests. Tsubasa apologizes as soon as he realizes he's being boring. However, she's quick and laughs it off as she says it's the opposite and appreciates him being himself and says it's good for him. Tsubasa's cheeks turn red since that's not the reaction he was expecting, and Fuyuki seems all geared up and says she's starting to get motivated. She proceeds to ask him if he's free later that day for a study party at her place. Tsubasa blushes before he agrees. Sayuri Akino, Fuyuki, and Tsubasa are walking home together from school. Sayuri asks why she needs to go, and Fuyuki explains that more people means more fun. Sayuri takes no time to figure out that Fuyuki's not really dragging them all out to study. However, Fuyuki argues and says of course she is since she's actually really worried about these exams. Moreover, having Shiki there is going to help. She thinks of him as their very own private tutor. Tsubasa hears that and thinks that teaching others will eventually help him learn too, so overall it's a great idea. They arrive at Fuyuki's home and take their shoes off as she explains their home loan. Her parents are at work while her little sister is at dance class. Sayuri is kind of surprised to hear she has a little sister, and Fuyuki proudly says she is asking them that. She perfectly fits the big sister role, doesn't she? However, Sayuri refuses and says Fuyuki is more like a younger sister. They bicker for a bit, but Fuyuki finally declares she's going to get them some drinks so the two of them should go wait in her room on the second floor. She conveniently fails to mention which room. Sayuri asks and finally finds out it's the very last one in the back. Sayuri and Tsubasa start climbing the stairs and she mentions that they've never been to Fuyuki's house before, so how are they supposed to know which room is hers? Is she really bothered by something as small as that? Tsubasa's a nice guy and honest enough to admit that he's been here before. As expected, Sayuri has a completely horrified expression on her face, but he quickly explains that they just stayed in the living room and watched a movie together, so he's never seen her bedroom either. After hearing that very honest explanation, all Sayuri can deduce is that Shiki is like some sneaky pervert. He can't understand why she thinks that and explains that nothing of the sort happened, and innocently continues to explain that Fuyuki even fell asleep halfway through the movie. Sayuri is really not buying it and they walk up the rest of the stairs. They make it to the second floor and enter her room. It's all pink, bright, and shiny, and Sayuri says it's just like Fuyuki herself. With all her makeup, cute stationery, and stuffed animals, Shiki agrees too. He's just really nervous inside about the fact that he's never been in a girl's room before, and Fuyuki's room smells really good. He thinks it might be because Fuyuki practically spends every day here and starts wondering about her daily activities in her room like playing, sleeping, changing. He proceeds to envision her naked in just her undergarments while she's taking her clothes off. He kind of catches himself in the act and reprimands himself for his perverted thoughts since he's blushing and notices Sayuri staring at him. She doesn't hesitate to call him a blatant pervert. Just then, Fuyuki shows up behind them announcing that she's brought some fizzy drinks in glasses. Since it's really cold, they sit in front of the radiator while Fuyuki pours out the drink for everybody. Sayuri appreciates her choice because she likes this drink too, and Fuyuki says she loves it. Shiki reads the label on the bottle, Ribbon Napolin, and Fuyuki realizes he's never had it before, so she wants him to try it and tell her what he thinks. They thank her as they each take their glasses, and Shiki gulps it down before telling her he thinks it's really good. Fuyuki is glad he agrees and tells him it's the sole drink of Hokkaido and has been around for forever. Sayuri empties her glass, her cheeks pink, as she declares she loves the bubbles as they help clear her head. Shiki thinks it makes perfect sense and says it's the perfect soda for a dinner party. Sayuri says definitely, and Fuyuki comes up with another brilliant idea saying that they should all quiz each other. Sayuri says that's fine with her but asks what subject, so Shiki says it would make most sense to start with one that'll be on the first day of the tests. No sheet Sherlock. He suggests world history and Fuyuki agrees, however she seems overly excited to be studying. She says Tsubasa should go first, so he opens their course book and decides to start with something simple. He starts and says the belief that God's will is absolute and that any one individual's salvation has already been determined in advance by God is a Christian theological doctrine advanced by Calvin. His question is about what that doctrine is called. Fuyuki's face gives away that she has no clue as to what the answer is, so Shiki gives them a hint that the answer is something close to the word, which is someplace they go to. Sayuri guesses the destination as the place they go to, and then arrives at the actual answer, which is predestination, and Shiki says it's the correct answer. Fuyuki pipes in with her not-so-useful input, saying right, they can't really go anywhere without a destination. She tells Sari to go next, so she reads out the next question. In England in 1559, Queen of the House of Tudor, Elizabeth I, passed an act prescribing standards for worship and prayer in the Church of England, so what was the act called? Fuyuki is practically sweating at this point, but Shiki answers this time, saying it's the Act of Uniformity. Sayuri says of course he knew that right away, he is a total nerd. Sayuri turns to Fuyuki, saying the next question is hers, but she has no idea what to do, so she nervously sips her drink and blurts a random fact about how she's heard that in the old days Katami produced 70% of the whole world's mint. They're both shocked to hear it. I mean, it's pretty irrelevant, but Shiki says it's pretty impressive that she knows this. Sayuri also says it's not a joke and realizes maybe this is why her grandmother always has mint candies at her house. She says her father just told her about it. Crazy, huh? Sayuri says sure, it's wild, but it has nothing to do with the test subjects and isn't even a real question. Fuyuki says she was just trying to impress them, and Shiki says they should work together because it's not too late yet, and he seems positive that she can do it if she tries. She says she's going to work super hard, and Sayuri comments, saying he really does go easy on her, but he must not forget to teach her too, and they move on to the next question. It's evening, and Shiki's grandmother is in the kitchen at home preparing dinner. She tries the gravy she's made and decides they'll have tatsuda fried chicken for tonight's meal as she continues to cook. Meanwhile, Fuyuki lies on the mat tired, saying her head is all whack because she hasn't studied this much in 1,000 years. Sayuri sits with her head down on the table, and Shiki says he's really proud of them both. He wonders what time it is and looks back at the clock when he realizes it's way past his curfew. Apparently he was concentrating so hard he lost track of time. He says sorry, but he's really got to go, but Fuyuki tells him to hold on. Sayuri also calls out to him, but he runs out the door and is already dressed in his jacket and is tying his shoes when he calls out to them, saying thank you for having him over. Just as he reaches for the door to leave the house, it opens and he accidentally falls face first into a girl's chest. She just happens to have big melons. The girl is Momoko Fuyuki, Minami Fuyuki's younger sister, and he ends up dragging him home, and he explains he was just there to study and also thanks her for everything. The sweet smell and soft feeling in his face still hasn't gone away. She doesn't seem to mind and thinks it's perfect timing since she just got home anyway. Plus, he lives really close, so it's no trouble to drop him home. He thanks her again, and she says that Mai has told her all about him, that he's really good at piano, and he says he's been practicing since he was little. So she was wondering how she'd be doing when she got home, but she came back all smiles talking about how good Shiki is at playing the piano. She thought it was hilarious. Meanwhile, Shiki is super embarrassed and his face is all hot. Momoko says it was a massive relief and thanks him for cheering up her sister. It's snowing outside, and they arrive at Shiki's house. Momoko rolls down the windows and comments about how his house is really like a castle. Shiki is quite humble and thanks her again for the ride. He's leaving when she tells him to hold him and says she got something for herself, but decides to give it to him instead. She hands him a bottle of fizzy drink as a treat for Mama for always working so hard. Shiki can't stop blushing as she tells him to drink up and drives away. She really doesn't seem like a little sister. Shiki is still stuck in his fantasies when his mother shows up behind him, furious for coming home so late, and he gets a big scolding. The next morning, while Tsubasa wears his shoes to go to school, his grandmother asks if he would mind throwing the burnable garbage out on his way. He says he certainly doesn't mind as he says goodbye to her and walks out. He thinks of how she really put him through the ringer last night, and he's still stressed about that. He recalls how she made him sit in front of her and said as long as he lives in her house he'll have to follow her rules. She also says that she has told him repeatedly that this is the condition for him to stay here. Tsubasa quietly listens and agrees because he's kinda scared of her. Luckily, she decides to put this incident aside for the time being, but does threaten him, saying if he makes another misstep like this in the future, he already knows what's going to happen to him. He understood and apologies to her. On his way, his thoughts are interrupted when he sees a very pretty girl with short pink hair and stops dead in his tracks. She's standing with a bag in her hand and, weirdly enough, a stick, and is staring at some crows. Tsubasa wonders if she's from overseas as he's stuck staring at her because she's so beautiful and her fair complexion, light pink hair, and flushed cheeks wonderfully complement the snowy landscape. He wonders what she's doing standing by the garbage since he can't see any trash in her hands. Suddenly, she opens her eyes and slashes the stick through the air, scaring the crows as they fly away. "She's one weird girl, I'd steer clear of her if I were him." Shiki stares at her in shock, and she says the birds weren't nearly as frightening or intimidating as they sounded. She turns around and sees Shiki standing in the snow, blushing and staring at her, so she smiles at him. "Oh no, is it already too late?" She proceeds to say that now that she's driven the riffraff away, he should feel free to throw away all the trash that he wants. Shiki says okay, and on that note, the girl thinks it is her moment to abscond. Shikis is surprised at her choice of words. Later at school, he tells Minami all about his strange experience, and she seems to think he's talking about Rena-senpai. White pink hair and a cute Japanese hairband totally seems to match Rena's description. Anyways, Minami is totally jealous that he got to see her first thing in the morning, and Shiki asks if he knows her. Minami is super excited as usual and says she way more than knows her. She practically adores Rena. She's won their beauty contest for 2 years in a row now and thinks she has a parent or something. Or something, really? From overseas, looks like he was right. Rena is famous around here for her supreme beauty. Looks like Minami is not done fawning over her as she talks about how great she is, and if she's ever reborn, she'd like to be reincarnated as a beauty just like Rena. Her obsession confuses Shiki, but he does agree that she was pretty in an impossibly un-Japanese way. Minami breaks his Rena trance asking if he wants to have another study party, and they can invite Sayuri too. However, he turns her offer down, saying he has to study alone until their exams are over. His answer immediately bums her out, so he quickly reassures her that it's not because he doesn't want to study with them, he just needs to be alone to be able to concentrate. Minami is really disappointed and feels dejected, but Shiki can't exactly tell her how mad his grandmother got. He just doesn't want either of them to worry about him. What a great guy. However, Minami's completely fine the next second as she says she'll invite Sayuri, and the two of them will study together. However, Sayuri appears at the door just then and says she'll have to turn her down too. Double rejection. Ouch. That's got to hurt. She explains that they just end up talking and not studying just like yesterday because that's what happened when Shiki left. Minami realizes she's right and slumps in her chair. Shiki somehow likes the thought that they didn't study after he left. During lunch break, Minami approaches Sayuri and says they should eat together. However, Sayuri says no way since she's researching game strategies. Still, Minami decides to sit next to her as long as she's not bothering her. Sayuri is direct enough to ask how much attention she needs. Minami goes all sad and says lunch isn't something you should eat alone, and she just realized that Tsubasa is gone. Sayuri wonders where he is, and Minami chimes in saying, right, who does he think he is? Why is she mad if he went somewhere? Sayuri can detect that she's really mad at him for skipping the study party. Minami quickly defends herself, saying she wouldn't get all grouchy over something like that. Anyone can tell she's lying. Sayuri tries to make her feel better by saying she's sure he probably has a lot on his mind and that Minami shouldn't worry too much about it. Minami still makes fun of her, saying she sounds like a nice old lady, and Sayuri can see that there's no way Minami meant that as a compliment. Meanwhile, Shiki has decided to try out the library for a change of place and is finding it a lot easier to study here since he's getting a lot done. Suddenly, he's distracted when he thinks he hears someone snoring and looks up to see Rena fast asleep with her head on a desk. He can't believe that she totally dozed off here, but forgot that she looks absolutely beautiful while she's asleep. What could she possibly be dreaming about to look so beautiful? He really can't stop staring because even just looking at her relaxes him and thinks she's the perfect antidote for the stress of test studying. Suddenly, she gets up and starts rubbing her eyes as she says, "But what about Sekigahara?" And it's safe to say Shiki is a little shocked she's dreaming about a war. Dreaming about a bloodbath like that makes her smile in her sleep. She looks at Shiki, and he immediately turns around wondering if she's noticed that he has been staring at her. He reprimands himself to focus because he's not really getting anything done and reminds himself to study. Well, that's not much help when he finds Rena staring right at from quite a close distance. He jumps back when he finds her so close to him and asks her what's wrong. She explains she's on the library committee as such. At this moment, she has authority over the library. Essentially, as long as she approves, it's totally fine to sleep in the library. She's just worried that he caught him sleeping. Shiki assures her he doesn't mind at all, but she interrupts him by complimenting his impeccable posture and asking if he works out. She proceeds to poke his back and slide her finger up and down, which makes him super squirm in his seat. But she soon realizes what she's doing and apologizes because she sees he was studying. Tsubasa says it's fine. What else would he say when he has the Rena admiring his posture? She looks at his copy over his shoulder and points out an answer that is marked correctly but is actually incorrect. He looks closely and realizes she's right. She says if this is what he's being tested on, he must be a first-year student. She wishes him good luck with his studies and walks away as he thanks her. He's surprised and super impressed that she figured out the problem and the correct answer in her head with just one glance. He stares at her as she walks out the library in disbelief because there's no way she could have done that. He thinks maybe she just used the same workbook before. Tsubasa returns home and finds his grandmother sitting waiting for him as soon as he opens the door. It's safe to say she looks angry. He asks her if everything is alright, and she says she's been thinking about something all day. She explains it's about what she can possibly do to support him. He's really confused at this point, and she continues to say that she realizes he's at a certain age where he may be facing issues that she cannot understand. Nonetheless, since arriving in Hokkaido, he's clearly dropped his guard. According to her, what he needs now is time to develop his mental fortitude. He can't do much hanging out with girls all day. In other words, she believes he's ready for the tea ceremony. They're both dressed in light green robes as they sit on the ground with the tea on a small table between them. She explains that the tea ceremony will help eliminate his carnal desires. They often held tea lessons while they were in Tokyo, but this will be his first time since coming to Hokkaido, and she thinks perhaps his technique is waning. Shiki says it is the same as riding a bicycle. The body does not easily forget movements once memorized. His grandmother thinks this is acceptable. Suddenly, they hear the doorbell ring and Tsubasa wonders who it could be. His grandmother asks him to answer the door since they'll have to restart the ceremony either way. She tells him her sister had a really rough Valentine's Day and got depressed. He opens the door to find Rena at his door, introducing herself as Natsukawa from next door, saying she's brought the neighborhood bulletin. Needless to say, Shiki is shocked to see her and asks if they're really next-door neighbors. He says it's very nice to see her again, and Rena's eyes go wide as she takes in his appearance in the green robes. He apologizes for the delayed introduction and introduces himself as Shiki as he slightly bows his head. All Rena can say is Japanese clothes. For some reason, she thinks this is outrageous. She drops the bulletin from her hands and seems to go up on her tiptoes and moves closer towards him as he doesn't know how to react. Meanwhile, his grandmother starts to think he's quite late and wonders what's taking him so long. She goes outside asking Tsubasa what's taking so long when he's shocked to discover a flustered and anxious Tsubasa with Rena hugging his chest. Rena continues to rub her head on his chest while he doesn't even know what to do with his arms as he thinks about what's even happening to him. His grandmother stands in the back with her hand on her mouth. I sure hope she doesn't pass out from the shock. She's furious and asks him what he thinks he's doing when he moves back from Rena and tries to explain it's not what it looks like. I doubt she'll believe him. She's shaking with rage, so Rena bows and deeply begs her pardon, saying she clumsily slipped, but the gentleman was kind enough to catch her from falling. She thanks Tsubasa, picks up the neighborhood bulletin, and hands it to him. He takes it from her, but is really confused because she's acting totally different all of a sudden. Haha, girl maths. However, luckily his grandmother seems to believe her and apologizes for the unsightly display. She also thanks Rena for bringing her the neighborhood bulletin and also tells her to take care on her way home. Rena excuses herself and walks home. Shiki is still stuck on the fact that since she brought the bulletin, does she really live next door? His grandmother says that the master of the household always brings it over, so she's never seen her before, but she's quite a lovely girl. Shiki is also surprised because his grandmother usually doesn't say things like that as she walks back inside, and Rena blushes on her way home. She says they should return but finds him staring out the door, so she screams his name again. He snaps back to reality and follows her inside after closing the door, saying they should get back to the tea ceremony. Shockingly, his grandmother says they've had enough tea for now. She can clearly see the reason that he has let his guard down, and there is no point in developing his mental fortitude only for it to be disturbed again. What he really requires right now is a palpable sense of the danger that he's in. Shiki stares at her in shock as she declares he must score in the top 10 of his school on the upcoming tests. If he's unable to do that, she'll send him right back to Tokyo. As most old grannies, Sue's granny says that she can see the reason he is distracted. Further, she says to him that he must score in the school's top 10 on his next test. Well, if that gives him a pass to sleep with Hokkaido gals, he should give his best to it. which he probably won't be able to give in bed. Then, angrily, she says that if he does not do that, she will send him back to Tokyo right away. Hearing that, Tsubasa sweats, and God knows what he is more worried about, getting sent back or having no Rizz once again. Later, Tsu, with a sad face and red nose, walks to school and wonders that he never imagined that the first exams in his new situation would be like this. But he also accepts that the amount of girlies around him made him really distracted too. Hormones really do distract a lad. He simply accepts his fate and thinks that it is about to happen sooner or later. But now it has happened, so he aims that he will put all his heart and his soul in his exams, which he was previously putting all in his girls. While he is drowned in his thoughts, Rena comes to him and says good morning. Tsubasa exits his thoughts, and she says that she has been waiting for him, and he asks her why she was waiting for him. Rena smiles and says that there are some things that she wants to talk to him about. Here comes another distraction. He needs to start packing for Tokyo in advance. Rena comes near him and asks if that is alright, and Tsubasa begins thinking that he would really much like to talk, but he is not really sure that it would be much fun to talk right now. Then Rena says to him as she looks at him that he looks somewhat really gloomy. Tsubasa wonders how she even knows that, and Rena asks further if he got in trouble because she leaned up against him yesterday. Hearing that, he gets a bit nervous and tries brushing it off, and says that he is just struggling a bit with his studies. They both begin to walk, and Rena says to him that she is really sorry about that because she loves all things that are historical. Does that mean she is attracted to older men? I smell daddy issues. Further, she explains that when she sees Japanese clothes in particular, she simply loses her senses. Ordering some Japanese clothes, so she leans on me. Tsubasa wonders that it is a very unusual fetish, but he did not realize before that she is a history buff, so that explains a lot more as to what happened yesterday. Rena turns to him and then says that as a way of apology, would he like to be tutored by her? Well, he does attract problems to himself. Rena says that he mentioned that he was worried about his studies. Tsubasa explains that it was not just the studies itself, it was also the ranking. Rena says wow and says that he is too worried that her rank is too low and there would be no point in learning from her. Hearing her, Tsubasa sweats and says that it is not what he meant by it. He explains that he does not have a problem with her at all, but he is just aiming for a very high rank. Rena smiles at him and says to him that he has nothing to worry about then, because she has been number one in the whole school since the day she got enrolled. Tsubasa is shocked and exclaims that she has always been the number one, and that is news to him. Rena smiles again and says sweetly that she can even teach him past trends and strategies for the different subject tests. That makes Tsubasa think that it is not just her looks, but she has top-level brains too, beauty with brains. He begins wondering if she actually did figure out the problem instantly yesterday. Further, he thinks that if he can get her to tutor him, the top 10 would be within his reach. Tsubasa clenches his fists and says to her to please teach him. He bows in front of Rena and thinks that he has to make it to the top 10 no matter what because he wants to keep living in Hokkaido. That surely is because he is getting to see beauty with honkers up close. Rena sighs and says that he has impressed her with his determination, so she will do all she can to teach him. Tsubasa gets back up and thanks her a lot for that. Then Rena says to him that for the next 3 days they only have morning classes, so she asks him to come to the library storage room after class each day. Tsubasa did not know about the library storage room, so she tells him that before tests, the library is left open for independent study. But for him only, she says that she will let him in the storage room that nobody has access to. Tsubasa asks her if it is okay to do that. Rena smiles and says that of course it is, because she is in the library committee after all. Being ungrateful, Tsubasa wonders that it is an abuse of authority. Rena stops and turns to him and says that she will have him all to herself to teach. Tsubasa blushes and says thanks to her, and they both walk further. While walking, Tsubasa wonders that if there is nobody allowed in the room, that means that only Rena and him will be all alone in a private room. He keeps thinking while blushing about what he will do because he does not even know if he will be able to concentrate. Well, these teen guys for sure don't know something that is called self-control. Rena tells him that she can't wait to see him after school. On the other hand, Fuyu is in the bathroom fixing her lipstick along with her friend, and both of them are stressing about the tests, and they wish they start sooner so they are out of the misery they are being kept in. Then Fuyu's friend walks out and tells Tsubasa is here, and Fuyu gets happy that she will take out all her stress on him now. I mean, in another sense, it for real makes Tsubasa the one getting benefits out of it. Her friend says she feels bad for Tsubasa sometimes. As Fuyu runs to him, she sees Tsubasa with Rena and gets nervous and confused while Rena was telling Tsubasa that he has to meet her after school. Then Rena walks away and Tsubasa turns to Fuyu and gets scared and sweats. Fuyu walks to him, and what she asks was unpredictable because she asked him how did he even manage to befriend Rena. She yells in excitement that she is so jealous of him right now and says that she is lucky that she got Rena's sight in the morning too. Further, Fuyu says that Rena is so pretty that she could not even look at her directly. Tsubasa nervously chuckles and says that it is right. Fuyu idolizes Rena. On their way to class, he tells Fuyu that Rena turned out to be his neighbor next door. Fuyu sounds excited and says that she almost can't breathe out of excitement, and that is why they came to school together. Suddenly, Fuyu stops and thinks about something, and Tsubasa asks her if there is anything that is a problem. She smiles and says that there is nothing. Later in the class, the teacher announces that for 3 straight days, they only have morning classes, so everyone needs to go home straight and study right away for the rest of the time. Then the teacher tells them that the library is open for independent study. If anyone wants to study there, they can, without disturbing the others. After that, Fuyu asks Tsubasa that he can't study with him today too, right? Tsubasa looks down and says sorry to her that he can't study with her because he really has to give his best on these tests. Fuyu smiles and says that it is okay and she is sorry for being so pushy to him. Tsubasa thinks that he somehow has to make it in the top 10, and he absolutely hates turning down Fuyu's invitations like that. He wonders that if he told her everything now, even if he explains that it is his own fault, she is so thoughtful that she would take all the blame on herself without thinking about anything else. That is the one thing he does not want to do, and he has to reap what he has sown. As long as he keeps quiet and places in the top 10, everything will be back to normal, and he will get to stay here instead of Tokyo. After class, Tsubasa walks to the library storage room and knocks on the door. From the other end, Rena asks the password for it, and he tells the password and sweats. Rena opens the door and says she has been waiting for him. Tsubasa enters the room and closes the door and wonders that she really does like history. She takes his attention and asks him what they should begin with, and Tsubasa gets nervous and begins blushing. He tells himself that this is not the time to get nervous about being alone with her. So Tsubasa gathers some guts, he sighs and says that he would like to begin with math first. Then Rena checks his papers and says that he did absolutely fine on this test, and at this rate, he might even get in the top 10. Tsubasa exclaims and says that he does not want to get his hopes up and he wants to improve his chances. So he asks her to tell him if she sees any room of improvement for him. Rena says okay, she would do that and turns back to his paper and tells him that there were some careless mistakes in his calculation. So Rena tells him that in order to be more accurate in it, they need to solve some problems. Then Rena asks him who his math teacher is, and Tsubasa answers that it is Takahashi. Rena smiles and tells him that Takahashi tends to use the same problems from quizzes for the finals, so it might help him to review them. Tsubasa is shocked and instantly turns to his table and says he did not think of that and he will review them. Rena looks at him while he reviews the quizzes. Then the school speaker says that the school is closing now, so if there are any remaining students on campus, they have to go home. And for the library committee members, the speaker asks to make sure to lock the library when they leave. After practicing for a while, Rena and Tsubasa begin to leave and Rena locks the library. Tsubasa thanks her for helping him and Rena looks at him and says that today inspired her to make more progress in her own studies as well. Then Tsubasa asks her if he can ask her for help for 2 more days. Rena says of course, and she does not mind that at all, but Rena does want to ask him something, and that is why is he studying so hard? Tsubasa frowns and says that if he does not put efforts now, there are some people very dear to him who he may never be able to see again. Rena says that she actually thinks she would appreciate a reward for helping him. So if he is able to reach the rank he is hoping for, he would go on date with her. Wow, she really did drop her standard. I mean, she could have dated a Chinese nerd. Well, Tsubasa is left shaken and he is nervous and sweating. Later at night, Fuyu is sitting at home watching TV with her little sister. Her sister asks if she has tests soon and she should be studying for it. Fuyu says that she can't help it and she is just not in the mood for it right now. Her mother from behind them asks if she had a party with Tsubasa the other day and Fuyu exclaims that it was different. Fuyu's mother turns and says if she just forces herself to study it won't stick in her head anyway. So she asks her if she wants some soft drink and Fuyu says yes excitedly. Her little sister says that she is always so light on Fuyu. Fuyu drinks the soft drink and feels refreshed. Then she asks her mother if she ever gets a feeling in her chest that makes it hard to breathe, but it is not cold. Her mother asks her if she tried something weird, and Fuyu gets nervous that it is not what she meant by it and turns her face away from her to hide the embarrassment. Then late at night during the study session, Natsukawa asks Tsubasa to name the 4 trees that grow in hilly zones, and the guy got it right in one go. The tutor is proud of Tsubasa as he had been struggling with memorizing elevational zones, but now he has overcome the problem perfectly. That makes Tsubasa very happy too, and he can't contain the gratitude he has for Natsukawa. He thanks her for tutoring him at the school and enabling him to memorize things he found hard to do. Natsukawa responds saying that the reward she'll be receiving at the end is what kept pushing her, and hearing that makes the boy a blushing mess. The tutor then tells him that she'll be hitting the bed and looking forward to the test they have tomorrow. She tells Tsubasa to sleep too for the sake of his health, but while he risked all his nerves to say goodbye to her, Tsubasa still wants to study a bit more. Later, someone knocks on Tsubasa's door, and it was his grandmother who brought him late-night snacks. He gets up to receive the tray and reassures the woman that he will do his very best on the test tomorrow as she questions him about the test. The next day, the class is all worried about the test they will be taking in some time. Fuyuki is excited for the test to end because she won't need to study anymore, but Akino isn't too sure she'll do alright and can't believe Fuyuki is so relaxed. Akino wishes to pass the test because she spent her night playing games instead of studying. Rena is calmly sitting in her chair when a girl approaches her to ask why she looks so confident about the test. She just politely responds saying she hopes for that one person to do well because they went all in preparing for it. That confuses the girl because she doesn't know who Rena is talking about, but we know it is Tsubasa all along. Tsubasa, on the other hand, is sitting in his chair with his eyes closed, and minutes later, the teacher commences the test. He opens his eyes in shock to look at the test, and man, it must have been hell. And I would be right because Fuyuki is in the hallway, sighing in relief, because apparently the test was too hard. She decides she will study in the library, and that's when she sees Tsubasa walking in front of her. She excitedly runs up to him, but that guy literally just disappeared not even seconds later. She scans through the entire library to see if he was there, but no sign of his existence there. The test session continues, and it is English and Japanese test day now. The students look exhausted, to say the least, but Fuyuki, like always, is calm about it and tries to express it to Tsubasa, who's busy with something. He responds awkwardly and looks very sus when Fuyuki asks him if he studied in the library the previous day. He must have been rewarding his senpai. Fuyuki narrates the whole disappearance incident to him and decides to think it might have been someone else. That gave Tsubasa a good excuse to get away with it, and Fuyuki blames her exhausted brain for the mistake. Tsubasa feels very guilty deep down because he didn't think he would be keeping the tutor thing a secret. But anyway, Tsubasa is down to hang out with Fuyuki after exams, which makes the girl the happiest. And Tsubasa wants the exams to be over too, so that he won't have to keep secrets from Fuyuki anymore. Now it's been a whole week after the exams, and Fuyuki is losing a part of her sanity with every grade she takes a look at. Akino is there with her and mentions how Fuyuki was more cheerful during the tests than she is now. Fuyuki has turned into a lover girl at this point and says she only liked the questions they had studied with Tsubasa. She then asks Akino about her grades, and she tells her that she did just alright. Yeah, alright with 386 points. Got it. Akino tells Fuyuki that she scores above average, which makes her feel bad about not studying enough even when Tsubasa told her to. Fuyuki did way too bad this time on the tests, and feels doomed, but at the same time, her curiosity for Tsubasa's scores doesn't die. Tsubasa, though, is clearing out Natsukawa's curiosities in the library. He walks up to her, and upon noticing his presence, Natsukawa turns her chair to face him. She calls Tsubasa by his first name to ask how he did in the exams. That makes the dude's eyes go almost non-existent, but they pop out again as he excitedly announces that he ranked 3rd in his class. He accomplished his goal of scoring among the top 10 and tells his tutor that she taught him just what was going to be on the finals. Natsukawa seems happy to hear that, and Tsubasa gets worried that busying her with his tuition might have affected her grades. He asks her how she did on her finals, and she proudly tells him that she topped her class like she always does. Tsubasa was shocked, and Natsukawa reminded him of the promise he made. He remembers, and Natsukawa is so looking forward to the weekend. The snow is piled up everywhere like usual, and Fuyuki's mother is on her way to do some shopping. She decides to ask if Fuyuki needs something too, but the girl is still asleep. She smiles at her and lets her be and leaves the house, saying that Fuyuki can text her if she needs something. Tsubasa is heading out too, but his outfit makes his grandma question him. He tells her that he's going out to hang out with friends, and she allows him because of his grades. It's obvious that the woman is suspicious of Tsubasa and breaks character as he leaves. Tsubasa checks her phone and thinks that he left too early, and just when he planned that he'll spend the next 15 minutes waiting for Natsukawa, she surprises him with her elegant traditional dress. Natsukawa put a good amount of effort into her outfit too, and looks as perfect as she could. Tsubasa is frozen, but not because of the cold, it's his tutor's beauty that's keeping him grounded. Natsukawa compliments Tsubasa's traditional look too, and tells him to not worry as she won't grab onto him out of nowhere. Tsubasa is still covering his mouth out of pure shock, and Natsukawa isn't making it any better. She tells him that she has been too eager for this day, that she left home earlier, and how it was her dream to go on a Japanese date since childhood. Tsubasa is in trouble, and he compares Natsukawa to sunlight that will be the end of him. He finally finds the courage to speak and very formally says that he will be taking care of her the entire day. Natsukawa found the response very impressive, and with that, the two went on their little Japanese date. Fuyuki's mom is out in her car and she stops the vehicle to plan her day out. Coincidentally, Tsubasa and Natsukawa were walking right by Fuyuki's mom's car and she saw them. She recognizes Tsubasa right away and gets confused when she sees him dressed up in Japanese clothes. She can't tell who the girl with him is, but not long after, she made sense out of it. The kids are enjoying their weekend, playing with bubbles too, and Tsubasa and Natsukawa are walking around behind them. Tsubasa can't take his eyes off Natsukawa, and she thinks she has something on her face. Yes, beauty. Tsubasa gets very taken aback when she asks him that and tells her that he's just impressed by how good she looks in the kimono. Natsukawa thanks him and tells him that she picked out her most favorite one out of several kimonos that she owns. Tsubasa is just not in the right headspace all this time and brings up how they haven't planned out their date at all. Natsukawa has no idea either, and Tsubasa feels bad since it is usually the boy's part to plan out the itinerary. So he apologizes to his date, saying he doesn't have any good spots in mind as he doesn't go out too often. Natsukawa just looks at him and proceeds to smile, telling him to not worry. She walks on and tells Tsubasa that she is happy to walk around even in the streets as long as she is in his company. The love surge is huge, and it becomes more than huge when Natsukawa turns around to flash her heartthrob smile. And like that, both of them decide to take long walks together while Fuyuki takes her long naps. She then gets a text from her mother which barely wakes her up, but when she reads what it said, wakes her up like it was caffeine. Her mother alarms her, saying she saw Tsubasa with another girl outside, which makes Fuyuki sit straight up right away. She was put into disbelief very successfully.